and welcome to The Very Worst, a podcast that is only about all of the Pokemon movies. I am Matt Allcamp.
I'm Pat Reber.
And I'm special guest Emily Kinslow.
Emily Kinslow, a Philadelphia writer and sketch comedian who's taking time from her busy schedule to watch a Pokemon movie and talk about it with us. Emily, thanks for being on the show.
Guys, I'm thrilled to... This is my first podcast. I don't think I mentioned that. This is my very first one.
Really?
Yeah.
You're such a conversationalist. I would have thought that you've been on a podcast before.
Thank you. No, I am a huge podcast nerd. And I've always wanted to... This is my first time, long time.
Not with ours.
No,
Not
Jesus Christ. Can I swear? Oh, God.
You can swear as much as you want.
Please swear.
Say the worst swear you know right now.
Fuck.
Just try to keep in mind that a lot of children listen to this podcast because it is about Pokemon.
Oh, God, Pat.
So we have no evidence that any children man has ever listened to our podcast.
Okay.
Not one children.
What do you think? Like, do you think they do, or do you think this is for, like, connoisseurs?
I like to think that there's one, like... kind of bad kid out there who knows that he shouldn't be listening to this. He's like 12, 13.
Yeah.
But he's got his iPod that he listens to with the blankets over his head when his parents think he's sleeping.
And parents have caught him before and listened to a couple episodes and they're like, we do not want you listening to that podcast. And he's like, okay, I won't. And he slyly avoids calling in every time we say, give us a call at 607-323-7168. Hey, kid, give us a call. 607-323-7168. If this describes you, please call us.
Yeah, give us a call, leave a voicemail.
We won't tell your parents.
Unless they listen to this podcast. Maybe give a fake name.
Yeah. Oh, and a fake age. Be like, if you're 12, say you're 11 and a half.
Yeah, and just stack yourself on top of another kid and wear a trench coat even though we can't see you. Just do it for good measure, my good dude.
Do that while you can. They don't let you do that anymore when you get old.
No. Me and Pat tried to we tried to sit on each other's shoulders and walk into Avengers Endgame, and they actually were like, you guys can't come in.
Are you being serious?
Yeah, everybody was like, look at that freak. Look at that tall freak.
And we were like, we're an Avenger. We're big guy, the Avenger. Emily.
Mm-hmm.
What is your Pokemon, like, what is the intersection of Pokemon and your life besides this right now?
Yeah, I was trying to think today all of the intersections of Pokemon. Well, okay, I would like a quick clarification.
Mm-hmm.
How do you say Pokemon?
Oh, I have a whole thought. Okay, Pat, how do you say it?
Like, was almost like you're doing it except Pokemon.
You say Pokemon.
Pokemon. I mean, when I say it quickly and in my regional accent, it's Pokemon.
Right.
But if I'm sounding it out, it's Pokemon.
Yeah, I think both when I'm saying it slow and fast, it's Pokemon. Pokemon or Pokemon.
Right. Yeah, because I was thinking about all the like kids I grew up with, how they would say it. They would say like Pokemon.
Right.
But a lot of the pronunciation in the film, and I'll call it a film today, was Pokemon.
It's a film, yeah. Pokemon, yeah.
I was trying to think, I don't have too much history with the genre, except for I was remembering this today. One of my babysitters was moving. She lived across the street for us, and she moved, and she gave us like her book of Pokemon cards, like me and my sister, and we didn't know how to do anything with them, so we just like looked at them.
Yeah.
I think that's all anybody did.
That's mostly all anybody did.
Okay.
You tried to play the game a couple times, couldn't figure it out, and then just looked at them.
Oh, and it was just like a dream. It was like this yellow, like Pikachu yellow, like folder with like slots in the inside. It was a dream that we could just look at.
Yeah.
But that was basically that, and like, you know, I'd watch the show like on occasion to the point where I was like, Ash, yes, today I remember, I got it.
You're like, oh, there's my boy. Yeah.
And I remembered the two individuals, blue and pink hair, with the gremlin friend. I remember them.
The gremlin-y friend. I believe you're talking about the Pokemon Meowth.
Yeah,
Did he have like kind of like a jazzy, like gruff voice?
Hi, it's me, Meowth.
Yeah, that's the very one. That's the one to.
I'm the gremlin-y friend.
So I had like
it's
a lot of like, visual recognition. Visual recognition with all of them, but like nothing beyond that. So I would call myself a hardcore novice.
You're, I think, our first guest that didn't see Pokemon the first movie.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no.
To a
no,
person,
no.
every time we've had somebody on, they've been like, well, so I wasn't a big Pokemon fan, but I saw Pokemon the first movie in theaters first day.
Wow. When did it come out? Is it? Oh boy, I'm really gonna show my naivete, if that's okay.
The first Pokemon the first movie
Mm-hmm.
was premiered in the U.S. I believe in 1999 or 2000, because I think maybe Pokemon the movie 2000 actually premiered in 2001, but I don't know.
Got it. I'm taking a note down of that. For what reason I don't know, but I
yeah,
did.
you really don't need to know that.
Yeah, it'll come up later. We have a quiz at the end.
God, I was hoping that would be the case.
So interesting you bring up the pronunciation of Pokemon, because this is something I've thought about for a long time. You learn a lot about a person based on the way they say Pokemon, right?
Damn, I would love to know what you learn.
So if a person says Pokemon, they're probably cool. They're probably hip. They maybe like Pokemon a little bit, or they know of it and they're not that big of a fan, but they don't have any sort of judgments about it, right? If they say Pokemon, they're probably a fucking insufferable asshole, right? They're probably deep into that Pokemon lore. They're probably deep into the anime. They probably have no sense of humor about it.
That's good to know. I'll keep that for my street knowledge if I meet anybody on the street.
If this is where you should be taking notes.
If they say Pokemon, they probably don't know much about Pokemon, but they don't harbor hatred towards it.
Yeah.
Just mostly indifference.
Sure.
And if they say Pokemans,
there's
faking because they don't want you to think. They don't want you to associate them with Pokemon. Yeah. If you say, I don't know, those Pokemans, you are like you're an old person who wants to show that you hate what the kids are into these days, even though kids aren't into Pokemon anymore. or you're like another kind of insufferable asshole that's like, I'm too cool for those Pokemans.
Yeah, it's like the saying sports ball of Pokemon.
Oh, what a great analogy. That's exactly it.
That's I do not hold it against people who call it Pokemon, but if you say Pokemans, like, conversation over. We're not talking ever again about anything.
It's like you have to. It was so ubiquitous. Like, you have to know at least what it is, and like enough to be like Pokemon or Pokemon.
Yeah,
like if you say Pokemans,
there's no way you think earnestly that it's pronounced Pokemans.
Correct.
It's short for pocket monsters.
Okay, here's where
it took us 30 episodes to get to
Pat.
that.
You just can't. Listen to me. You can't. You just can't.
So, Emily, it's actually short for poking monsters, because I don't know if you know this, but to set their powers off, you have to poke them in specific spots. So, like, Pikachu's got those red cheeks. If you poke him in the cheeks, that's when his lightning goes off.
Okay.
Are you taking notes?
Being serious? Are you being real?
No, Matt, stop. She's taking notes.
I did, and this is not a joke, I did take 2 pages of notes during the film.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay, so I always take notes on when I'm watching these movies for this podcast, and this one was so fucking plot dense, or at least not even plot dense, but event dense.
Yeah.
That I took like literally 9 pages of notes on this one. We're gonna have to figure out how to not make this a 9 pages of notes long podcast.
You're gonna have to blow through some
Yeah,
stuff.
I have there's an A, B, C, and D plot.
Yeah, it's like they took 4 episodes of television
yeah.
and mashed them together very cleanly into one movie.
All right. Oh, yeah. Okay, so we should say this week we watched Pokemon The Power of Us, which is the last animated Pokemon movie to hit the U.S. It's the most recent one as of this recording. Probably another one will come out next month because they always drop in November, but
Yeah.
blah, blah, blah.
That's crazy.
I think this movie hadn't even been released in the U.S. at the time we started this podcast.
Oh, damn.
Okay, yeah. We're starting to edge into it already, but why don't we get everybody's like first impressions, like overall, like pre-reviews of this movie. Do you want to start, Emily?
Yeah. Like you said, there was a lot going on, and as a newcomer, I felt like it was a lot to keep up with. And one of the questions that I had, I mean, maybe I'll ask it later, but I wanted to know, like, how many of these characters did you know, and how many were new beyond like Team Rocket and then Ash? Because my God,
you just named them all.
You named yeah, that's it.
Everybody
that
else
and
was
Pikachu.
new?
We knew Team Rocket, we knew Ash, we knew Pikachu, we knew Meowth.
Holy cow. That is irresponsible. Like, there was so many. I felt like I was trying to I had to pause it to take notes on characters, and then I would circle the characters, and I'd be like, they're doing this, they're doing that. And even still then, I would get confused about who's doing what and when, because Uncle Callahan, boy did he have some twists and turns. Yeah. But overall, I think like I got what they were doing with the environment and animals, but like, but I think they could have like simplified a little.
I kept being like, oh, this is too much stuff. I'm going to skip this scene in my notes because it probably won't come up. Yeah. But 201, every single scene was the introduction of a new character. It was like, there was like, oh, her dad is the mayor. Interesting. That'll add to her character. Oh, wait, no. Her dad, the mayor, is one of the main characters also.
Margot.
I'm glad you guys took notes on the names because I did not take time to learn any of them. So the movie opens. I don't want to get into recapping it just yet, but the movie opens just saying like, oh, there's a huge festival in this town, and it starts panning from person to person in this town, and you think it's just like, oh, they're setting the scene here because they've shown us 5 different people getting into 5 different interactions during this big city festival.
Yeah.
But no, they're all main characters in the movie, and you had to be paying attention to each and every one of them.
I knew that this was a movie where it was a bunch of characters interacting with Pokemon and like their plot threads wove together. I knew that going in. However, I assumed it was like 4, not like 9.
I mean, if I read a description the way that you just described it, I would think it was like a Love Actually situation where it's a bunch of vignettes that happen to intersect with each other. But this is not their stories are all entirely dependent on each other.
Yeah.
And they've all got 5 different objectives.
Yeah. I like some of them a lot though. But yeah, Pat, how else did you feel?
So I'm a big fan of the characters. Mm-hmm. I do not like the story at all. It's all over the place. Yeah, that's that. But the characters are great. As soon as they started introducing everyone, I was like, oh, this goes in our fanfic. Like, I had to slow down though.
It's almost like this one was our fanfic, just with reskins of all the characters that we like.
It was all the
hey guys,
weirdos
quick
that we
cue.
found.
Not a problem. Do you guys have like a running fanfic of this?
We've watched. Okay, Emily, we have watched 21 of these now.
Jesus,
You're
this
is 22.
Very deeply specific. How did this get made?
Yeah. Yes, we do.
So we've watched 22 of these now, and every now and then in a movie there will be a character that'll pop up that's so radiant and so special to our hearts that we're like, oh, I want to see a movie that is just this guy or just this robot or just this like time traveling scientist with a crazy name. And this movie was all of that.
Oh, chock full for sure.
Just yeah, I spent the whole movie trying to think like, do I like this? And I still don't know. Like, I have no idea if I liked that movie. Like,
well, you're gonna have to figure it out by the end of this podcast.
It's true. But okay, well, Jesus Christ! While talking about this movie, we're gonna have to. I'm trying to figure out different ways to do this. Because I think if we go moment to moment, it's going to be a bigger mess than the movie was. So I think what we should do is try and follow characters as close as we can.
Yeah, that tracks.
Until they intersect. Does that make sense?
No.
Okay, well, I'm going to start it. And
let's try it anyway.
And you guys, like, usually I lead these recaps, so I'm gonna try something, and if it absolutely fails, we'll just go back to beat by beat. Is that cool?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So let's get into the movie. We open. Wait, I don't mean to get so granular, but for some reason we opened with a tracking shot of a red balloon.
Red balloon
up into the air.
You know this shit's gonna get nuts. This is just like that movie, The Red Balloon.
It's somebody was like, I'm gonna make an art film out of this Pokemon movie, and then they only got one scene in.
Yeah, then they got fired.
I didn't quite understand. It was like a very, very long cold open. It was like full scene happened.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, oh, I kind of thought like maybe Matt ripped this from the internet and it started a weird place. And like, but no, that there was a whole full scene in a hospital.
Yeah, we meet our first character, and this is who we'll try and follow as far in as we can. It's a rainbow-haired girl who looks longingly at track meets and has a brother in the hospital. Those are the two things we find out about her.
Yeah, she's staring at the track stars at school,
and the camera closes in on her legs.
Yeah,
while and it's like, that was weird.
She's scantily clad too. They really animate up this character.
The reason we know it's a track meet, the reason that what draws her attention to it is the starting gun that fires.
Oh God, yeah.
Guys, there is no chance that they still use a starting gun for a high school track meet, right?
Not.
I thought this was about to take a very dark turn because she's clearly at her high school, and then you just hear a gunshot, and she goes, "Huh?" and turns her head towards the noise, and then you see a bunch of people running by. Before you notice that they're all in the same uniform and it's the track team.
Yeah. She goes to visit her brother in the hospital. He's in the hospital for a broken leg, it seems.
Yeah, but he's swinging that leg around.
Yeah. And he's on a ditto pillow. Did you guys see that?
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's the Pokemon Ditto.
Oh.
Was what his pillow was modeled after, and it was really I like that pillow.
Yeah. It was blue, which is weird. Right? Dittos are pink usually?
Dittos are purple usually.
All right, I'm going to Google it. Sorry for the clacking. Ditto.
Yeah, let's go. I'm pretty sure it's pink, though.
I'm fairly certain it's purple.
This one's really cute. He's
What
a
color would you say it is?
Oh, gosh. See, I think he's more of a purple.
He's definitely a purple. I will show Pat a bunch of images of a Ditto.
Yeah.
Oh, well, yeah. The ones that you pulled up are purple.
I just typed the word Ditto.
Some of them are pink. It's not important. Now that I'm wrong, it's not important.
What he tells her is that there's a wind festival in Fula City, and he says, "Can you do me a favor?" And he's like, I guess he tells her he wants her to catch a Pokemon, and her response is like, ew! Like, yuck! No!
Yeah. So intense.
He guilts her into it, and she's
Would
like...
this then presume that, like, the kid in the bed is, like, more of the, like, the active go-getter. He's gonna go catch Pokemon. And then the sister, right, is more like, I can't be caught dead catching a Pokemon.
Yeah! Is that how it is in the...
I don't know.
Like, is in the Pokemon world their thing is being too cool for Pokemon?
Right. But then we find out later some stuff about her and running in shoes that would negate that.
Right. Also, being too cool for Pokemon would be like in our world if somebody was like a teenager and they were like, and their little brother was like, oh, I wanna pet a dog. And they're like, ew, I'm too cool for animals. Ew, animals are gross. Like, oh, we're gonna go to the zoo. Oh no, do we have to?
I like that Pokemon are that well beloved. That's good to know. I'll make a note.
Make a note, please. Take copious notes. So he guilts her into saying she'll catch a Pokemon for him, and he's like, I've got a present for you.
I think pretty cool of him to be like, to have a gift but not use it to bribe her into doing a favor, to be like,
now that you've said yes.
Yeah. I also got this gift for you.
What? And he gives her what looks like a really cheap pair of sunglasses. She thinks they're really cool, and we will find out in an hour and a half what they are. Like, this is the worst Chekhov's gun in history, because we don't find out what the fuck this is until after the credits.
I missed that. I totally missed it.
You didn't watch the post-credit sequence?
There's a post-credit sequence?
Well, you, like all of our listeners, are going to have to wait an hour and a half.
God.
So, what we find out her name is Risa, and she goes home to a dark house, and she stares at an empty dark house, and she lays in it and stares at a Pokeball. And that's her emotional angsty moment.
Yeah, why did we have that? This movie, excuse me, none of these Pokemon movies need to be an hour and a half long.
Yeah.
This movie, to its credit, was still trying to find the thread of the plot that full hour and a half.
Yeah.
Instead of, like, just starting over and doing another movie on top of the first movie.
I think that's right. I think, like, they set up too many things to be like, okay, just remember this. You gotta just remember this, and it'll come back later in, like, a really big way. But they did that for every single one of the supporting characters.
Yeah.
And usually people, and correct me if I'm wrong, don't take notes during movies. So they don't have that advantage, folks.
They did that for almost every character.
Yeah.
Except for one who we're about to meet in 1 second. And we don't see Risa again for a little while, so I think it's okay to shift characters, because we cut to Ash Ketchum.
Oh boy.
He's on a bus.
And that's it, right? He gets a very brief introduction, and then they just go right back to the town.
He's like hanging on the side of a trolley, right?
He's probably a stowaway.
Yeah, he's looking at some stuff in the town. Like, we see a bunch of stuff in the town, and one that I particularly enjoyed is there's that, like, gold man, like the man who's painted metal.
Yeah, like the living statue.
And it's doing the living statue only because it's Pokemon World. He's doing the living statue, but Mr. Mime is doing it right behind him.
Yeah.
He's got a Pokemon doing the exact same thing right behind him.
It's like, just in case you forgot, you were in Pokemon World.
We find out that Fuela City is a city that lives in harmony with the wind. What the fuck does that mean? Like, what's a city that lives in disharmony with the wind?
Chicago.
We hate the wind. We fight the wind. It's a city that every time they feel wind, they pull out a fan and they blow against it.
There is so much exposition to like explain everything. Like you find out exactly why it's called Wind City. You just have to like settle in and like buckle up and remember like this is why, and it's on top of a mountain and there's a flame, and I'm not gonna get into it, folks. I won't get into it.
No, I love guys. You get ready, buckle in for this lecture about how this Pokemon City exists.
Get ready to hear it a lot of
A
times.
lot.
I'm just going to introduce all the characters because that's what they do, right? So we meet a little girl and she is watching fireworks in the middle of the day. Good work, Fuela City.
We can all see them.
We can see them.
It's effective.
Yeah.
And she lives in a mansion and she says goodbye to her dad in a limo who, spoiler alert, is the mayor. I don't want to, like, there's so many reveals in this movie, and none of them are worth it. He's the mayor. We find out he's the mayor.
Yeah, like 5 minutes later we find out. I don't know why they hid him.
Ash runs into an old lady. She is looking at flowers, and then a big flower Pokemon named Sunflower comes up and starts harassing her.
Yeah.
And she's like, what the fuck? She curses. She's like, what the fucking shit are you doing? And she's like, stop harassing me while I'm just trying to look at flowers. And I sympathize.
This was the peak of the movie for me, I think.
When she was yelling at a flower.
When a flower comes up and yells at her, and she turns around and yells back at it, and then storms off.
It's like at that point, were she not the main character of this movie, she would have already been our favorite character of this movie.
Yeah.
That's cool that like 3.5 minutes in, you found the peak. That's very fun.
It's all downhill from here.
We see a haggard, green-haired science man, and he drops all this shit everywhere, and he's yelling into his phone about how somebody canceled on him.
Is that what he's... I got the impression, and it didn't come up again, whoever he's talking to here, but I got the impression that he owed somebody money and was like, I'm sorry, I can get it by tomorrow, please.
I guess what he was saying he could get by tomorrow was another person to give his lecture for him because he's too afraid to talk in front of people.
Okay.
I got the impression, because I think they had mentioned something about the Wind or the Wind Festival by that point, and I was like, my God, the Wind Festival is hanging on this homie's shoulders, and everybody's about to experience the Wind Festival, whatever that is, and he has fucked up. Whatever he did, I literally wrote, green-haired guy, fuck something up. Like,
absolutely me too, right? Like, I now understand what he was talking about, but at the time I was like, oh, whatever he messed up must be integral to this Wind Festival that we keep hearing about.
And you guys aren't entirely off base. He gives a keynote speech.
At a small segment of the Wind Festival that happens on day 2 of what seems like a 4-day festival.
It's a big deal for him.
And that whole thing is fucking wild, but we'll get to that.
Mm-hmm.
Also, we meet a side character who is a weird dude. What I wrote down is a weird dude dressed like Jamiroquai.
Oh my God.
Who hosts a obnoxious YouTube show called The Pokemon Channel.
This guy was my favorite. He's talking about the town. He is explaining the history of the town and the Wind Festival.
White dreadlocks.
Yeah, and very much dressed like Jameer, including the hat.
Yeah,
and he gives us all the information we need, all the exposition about the festival, how it got here. He explains Lugia.
Gave everyone the power of the wind, whatever the fuck that means.
He taught this town how to invent wind power.
Okay.
So that they could electrify their city, and they grew from there.
I love before Lugia showed up, when it would blow, like wind would blow, and their like dress would rustle. They'd be like, "What the fuck is this?"
I think they're in a place that doesn't have wind. Because as soon as the wind stops coming from whatever like power they have that generates wind, which is also they generate wind and they use that wind to generate power, but then they use that power to generate wind. This whole system is backwards. But he does this. The Pokemon TV host ends his exposition about the Wind Festival by saying, "But wait, there's one more thing you should know. A long time ago, there was a fire on a nearby mountain, but Lugia put it out." And that's it. That's the end of his news broadcast.
And you're like, hang on, wind, fire, air, like, is this like Avatar? Like, what's happening? There's too many elements.
I don't know, but it never comes up again.
Okay, so now I think we can stick to a character for a minute because there's a guy who has a little arc here, and then we'll jump back in time. So now is where a little girl runs up to a man, and she's got an ice cream cone. And she gives it to the man, and she says, "Here you go, Uncle Callahan. I got some ice cream for us."
Uncle Callahan.
Uncle Callahan. He looks like the theme of his clothing is probably hot dog. He's wearing like a red shirt and then yellow and red vest over top of it. Like he's evoking the feeling of the colors of a hot dog.
He also has a hat as if he were about to sell hot dogs, which makes no sense, but it rings true, I feel like.
I got a very like 80s action star vibe off this guy because he's wearing like a t-shirt with a vest.
Yeah.
The hat he's wearing to me looked like a beret. But like an army beret, and then he's got this long flowing like
MacGruber hair.
Yeah.
Well, he also at
under
some
that
point
beret,
says, he says brother.
Yeah, he calls
Did you hear
people
that?
brother.
I was like, what are we doing?
He's got a square jaw and like a big old one of those butt chins.
Yeah.
Like he is the quintessential 80s man's man.
Only like in the 2000s, so he's gained some weight and he's lost some of his vim and vigor.
Yeah, and 5-year-old girls think he's cool.
Yeah, well, so here's the thing you guys might not know. When she brings him an ice cream cone, it's shaped and decorated like a Pokemon.
Oh my god.
Is an ice cream cone.
All I could think of was, oh my god, wouldn't it be wild if they were just eating that Pokemon that looks like an ice cream cone?
Yeah. And it looks like it is. So, like, okay, there's a Pokemon, Emily, who is shaped like an ice cream cone and has a face on it. And it looks identical to the ice cream cones they're eating. So this would be like...
It's dangerous. Okay.
If you were eating a steak that was shaped and painted to look like a little cow.
Yikes.
And, like, you were just, like, biting off what looked like the very realistic face of a cow when you were eating this steak.
Which Pokemon do you think they get milk from?
Oh, Miltank. Miltank is the milk Pokemon.
Oh my gosh.
That is a really bad sentence.
It's a Pokemon with floppy nipple. Like, it's a cow Pokemon.
Ew.
And its nipples flop, its udders, I guess, flop around as it fights.
Oh, man. I thought the worst thing you were going to say was, like, it's like an old-fashioned milk bottle.
Oh, no.
They just
it's
put
a
a
cow.
face on, but it's
a cow with very prominent udders.
Huge udders.
Oh,
And
boy.
in the last, like, 6 games... they've decided to animate its floppy nipples and make them flop back and forth as it fights.
One more time,
the
flop.
worst.
Just kidding.
It's the worst thing I've ever experienced in my life, and I've experienced it, about 6 different times. So they're eating these horrific ice cream cones, and Uncle Callahan is bragging about how cool his Pokemon is, but he won't take it out of the Pokeball. Like, it's like bragging about your cool girlfriend who lives in Canada who you don't have any pictures of. And then he starts telling a story. Well, we find out the niece is sick somehow. It's unclear how.
Yeah,
she's weak or whatever. That's what he says. He's like, oh, she's weak. And so Callahan starts acting out some story about Lugia putting out a fire.
The Great Fire
Great
on
Fire.
top of the hill that the Pokemon TV host was talking about.
Yeah, and he's like, and I was the one who told it to. And he's like jumping around on top of like statues in this festival.
Yeah,
and announcing it to the whole crowd. And the crowd starts applauding. And he gets down and his sister's like, yo, you just fucking lied, dude.
Yeah. She's like, you're always doing this.
He's like,
you need to stop. You need to find help.
Oh, it's not lying. It's dramatic license. What?
God.
So he's trying to show off for his niece, and he goes and he wins a carnival game. So the one thing he is good at apparently is throwing balls.
Throwing stuff. He's challenging your title, Matt.
Emily, I have a belief, and I want to know your opinion on this. Sometimes they portray in Pokemon like it would be hard to hit a Pokemon with a Pokeball. I maintain that I can hit any animal with like a baseball-sized ball if I needed to.
Holy cow. That's a huge statement, my friend.
You don't think you could?
I think I could do it a percentage of the time, but it's a lot. I mean, I guess you don't really know the weight of a Pokeball, right?
You're right.
So if it's light, sometimes they're empty, right? And that's how you capture them?
Yeah, but they got a lot of machinery in them.
Yeah. It is a lot of metal clickety-clackities, and I will give you that for sure. But however, I play competitive kickball, and I don't know if you've ever recently thrown a kickball. You think it's going to be easy to throw a kickball from third to second, and in fact, it's not, because it's not dense. There's air, and like you almost never make it. So I think it depends on like the density and the like weight of the ball more so than like your personal accuracy, my dude.
Okay. Do you know the standard distance between second and third on your kickball fields?
We play like on like a baseball field. It's far enough where you're like, it's easy. I'll just throw from third to first. With a baseball, it is easy, but with a kickball, it just goes everywhere. It's crazy.
My feeling is like a Pokeball is very similar to a baseball, maybe slightly lighter than a baseball. Yeah. Okay. Do you feel like if you walked out your front door, if you saw a Pokemon like half a block away from you, right, and you had something that was slightly lighter than a baseball but the size of a baseball in your hand, if you saw a squirrel in the middle of the block, do you think you could hit it with that ball in your hand?
No, I think...
What?
Absolutely not.
No, dude.
And I'm sorry, this is a visual metaphor on a podcast, but Matt, do you think you could, from here, take a small object and throw it into that trash can with 100% accuracy every time?
A baseball-sized object, yes. The trash can is about 5 feet from us.
Are you assuming that the thing down the block, the Pokemon down the block, does not move? Is it a fixed target?
I'm going to say yeah, because in the show, it's always a fixed target.
Yeah, it just kind of stands there and stares.
Yeah. Because, like, obviously you could hit a cow, you could hit a horse, you could probably hit a dog, you could hit a cat. The problem is there's no humane way for me to test this. There's absolutely no humane way for me to go ahead and test this theory. Like, it'd be a little harder for me to hit a mouse, but I still think I could do it.
Oh my god, the audacity.
I am 0% on this. Every single time.
You guys need to have, you need like a Patreon or like a video bonus extras, and you need to do this in your backyard.
We just video bonus extras of Matt throwing rocks at birds in the parking lot.
And Pat just going Pokemon would be the hardest one.
And Pat's like, yes, no, I think you can do it. I don't think you can do it. $5 a month to watch that.
I think, again, I'm going to die on this hill. I think I could hit any animal from most distances with a baseball-sized ball. And wouldn't be hard.
Matt is being very kind by not mentioning that I just with perfect accuracy, shot something into the trash can from here.
He threw a penny. He threw a penny into the trash can.
Okay, so the trash can was a bad choice.
Yeah. So, okay. Callahan is trying to show off for his niece, and he's apparently very good at throwing, which I wonder if that'll ever come up again.
Yeah, I wonder if any of this will ever come back up again.
So they run into that girl from the beginning, Risa, and she says, "Hey, I'm looking for this Pokemon," and she holds out what looks like a phone.
Yeah, so Uncle Callahan claims again that he is a Pokemon master, the best Pokemon master.
Yeah.
So she's like, "Oh, great! Please tell me where to find this Pokemon."
And he's like, "Oh, yeah, that Pokemon." And it's clear he's lying. Like, they make it very obvious he's lying. He's like, "Oh, yeah, that Pokemon, it lives over there." And he just points in a direction.
He says it's very rare. It's a very rare Pokemon.
Which is going to be the most important sentence said in this entire movie, is when he randomly says, "It's a very rare Pokemon." So she's like, "Oh, thanks," and runs away. And then suddenly over the loudspeaker, they tell us that there is a catch race on.
I love that. What a great name. It also, like, really makes you remember, like, Ash, because isn't Ash's last name Ketchum?
Oh, you mean Ashley Catch Them All? Yeah, that's it.
Oh my god.
Yeah, his name is Ash Catch Them.
You're like, oh yeah, what about that guy? Where'd he go? Get him back here. He's got to be in this too.
Oh yeah, so the niece is like, "Oh, a catch race? You're a Pokemon master. You should join it." And Callahan is like, okay. And then he is like, "Oh, I got something to do," and he runs off to try and find a solution because he clearly doesn't know how to catch any Pokemon. So we'll see him again in a little bit.
Here's my thing.
Yeah.
Is this guy lies all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's his, it becomes clear throughout the movie that is his, like, main personality trait. He lies. Why didn't he make up a lie for why he can't be in the Pokemon catch race?
Right.
It's a great point.
He mentioned several times in this movie, like, "Oh, why can't I stop lying?"
Yeah,
like that's his big struggle in life. That's his like Achilles heel.
His cross to bear is his choice whether or not to tell the truth.
And he's really bad at lying.
Yeah.
We jump back in time a little bit. There's a mean lady. Have we seen the mean lady? Yeah, we've already seen the mean lady. She yelled at the flower.
Harassed by the flower and harassed it right back.
And we run into her briefly again as some kids try to sell her lemonade, and their Pokemon looks at her and she freaks the fuck out.
Yeah.
And all the kids say, "Hey, that's old lady something. She's world famous for hating Pokemon." Like, what a character description.
She really does hate Pokemon. She's yelling at him. She's refusing to buy lemonade from children because they have Pokemon.
Yeah. And then she walks away, and now we see the little girl from earlier, Margot. She runs into these little boys.
The mayor's daughter.
And knocks over their lemonade cart, and they're like, "You fucking asshole." They cock back to throw a lemon at her. They're so mad at her, they try to throw one of their lemons, one of their life's blood, the thing that they use to survive in this cruel wind city. They go to throw it at her until... Do you guys remember what happened here?
I don't remember what happened. Does Ash come?
Yeah,
Ash comes!
That's what I thought. Okay, good.
Ash shows up. He's actually pretty cool about it because it is just... Like, the lemon is flying at this little girl's head, and then a hand appears and grabs the lemon, and the little girl's like...
He has a couple of those moments for her this movie.
He really does. He's a badass in this movie for the most part.
There's like this thing about Ash all of a sudden where he used to be the biggest fucking dingus in the world, and in this movie, and the last movie even, he's all of a sudden like the last movie was kind of a dingus, but the movie before that, all of a sudden the Pokemon franchise has mythologized him, and now he's like this hero god.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's doing like flips down staircases and roundhouse kicking things.
Yeah.
So like once again, like this is my first one of these movies, and I just thought that was him. He's like the Deus Ex Machina, like coming in to save the day every time, but he's not.
No, he usually falls down the stairs.
He usually tries to punch a Pokemon in the stomach, runs into a force field on purpose, falls down a flight of stairs that he's trying to walk up casually.
Yells at people without intimidating them at all.
Yeah, like this, usually he's just this snot-nosed fucking weirdo.
Yeah.
But in this, he's like a cool dude, and he catches the lemon right before it hits their face, and he's like, you want to mess with somebody, mess with me. But he's cooler than that. He doesn't even like threaten them. He's like, hey guys, it's almost like he's like, I don't remember his line, but it's something to the extent of basically like, oh, hey, you must have dropped your lemon because we're all cool friends here, right? And they're like, get him with your Pokemon. And he's like they're being aggressive, and he's completely dismantling it by being like, oh, you want to have a friendly Pokemon battle? Okay, we're friends. Like
there's a look in his eye about it that makes it like pathological, I think.
Like he knows.
Yeah, he's like, oh, I see you were throwing a lemon at this young girl's head. That looks fun. Maybe you should try it again now that I'm here with my killer Pokemon.
Why do I love Ash all of a sudden?
I know, he's good. He's good in this one.
He's so cool. And he's like, oh, let's have a Pokemon battle. And they attack Ash, and Pikachu just wrecks their fucking Pokemon.
I think these kids were kind of justified, by the way. They really they have a business that is selling lemonade, and this girl who is the mayor's daughter and clearly gets special treatment all around town.
Yeah, this privileged
just runs into their lemonade wagon
store.
And they shouldn't have thrown a lemon at her.
The bourgeoisie
but yeah,
starts smashing up the working classes' means of production, and they use the only methods available to them to rebel.
Yeah, they could have sicked their Pokemon on her. They didn't. They were throwing a lemon. Throwing fruit is like a humiliation thing, not a harm thing.
I mean, she is a little girl. Now that we're getting into humiliation, maybe no one should humiliate a little girl.
Get there.
She's not safe. We're eating them all.
First up against the wall, mayor's daughter. Second, the mayor. Okay, so also Team Rocket's there, and they want to steal Pikachu, but Jessie just wants to sell lemonade.
She really does. She's just like, oh, guys, we're at a street fair.
All
why don't we sell berries?
Jessie, James, and Meowth watch this, and Jessie's like, oh, we could steal Ash's Pikachu, and Meowth is like, yeah, look how cool it was, and we could make a fortune off this Pikachu, and Jessie's like, yes, we could sell lemonade, and they're like, what the fuck, dude?
Also, Jessie's no longer wearing sleeves. She cut off the sleeves to her shirt, so it's just gloves and then shoulders.
Yeah, it's hot as hell.
I mean,
I was very confused. I wanted them to play a larger role in this motion picture.
Yeah, you always do.
Yeah, they were like they were very fun. They were such a fun. Are they always harmless? Do they always get like zoinks, Scoob, like?
There's actually a couple of movies where they have saved the world, where they have changed their tune, been like, look, usually we're evil, but things are so bad right now that we have to be good and try to save everybody.
But it's like they save the world, and then they end up at the end of the movie like stuck in a tree, and no one helps them.
Yeah, and no one knew that they saved the world.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, but that's the extent of them. Ash and Margot are friends. And now, and she tells him the same Lugia story we've already heard like 3 times at this point. But we also find out that we find out about the power plant that burned down up in the mountains. I think that's a detail we didn't have, that it was a power plant.
Yeah, there's a power plant up there.
And then, so Ash starts playing in a sprinkler.
Oh yeah, like a little splash pad.
Oh, that's what it's called, a splash pad.
Thank you, Emily.
Yeah, man.
Which I thought, Pat always gets really mad when Ash acts like a little kid, even though he's a little kid. So I thought Pat would have a lot to say about this moment.
Do I get mad? So I thought it was weird that he was just like running around in his clothes getting soaking wet. I think that's dumb.
But at this point, he's just being a little kid. He's jumping around a splash pad laughing.
Yeah, he's being an unsupervised little kid because if a parent was there, they would be like, you don't have a change of clothes. Stop jumping in a fountain.
Who could blame him? There's gosh.
Right. Then Ash and Margot split. Ash hears about the catch race, and he's like, I'm going to join the catch race. And Margot...
Yeah, of course you are.
Margot disappears into the woods and starts playing in some abandoned buildings. And she's got a ditto and a teddy ursa that she's playing with in the woods. And she leaves some food in an abandoned building for a Pokemon that she feels guilty about that he got hurt, is what.
Yeah, she's like, I'm sorry, it's my fault you got hurt. Here's some berries and like a bottle of milk, I think.
Yeah,
maybe I just want to keep saying bottle of milk.
There was bread involved too.
Yeah, there was a red thing.
She gives him a red thing, 2 blue things, and a bread thing. So, back up a second. We find out this guy's name is Torin. He's the haggard, green-haired scientist man. He's getting yelled at by his boss about the thing that he was talking about on the phone. Like, somebody was supposed to come give a presentation for him, and they can't. And he is freaking the fuck out because he doesn't know how to speak publicly. Like, apparently, this is Torin. This guy's name's Torin. This is the green-haired science man's plot is... I need to give a presentation about my science, but I don't know how to talk in front of people. What am I gonna do?
That's how he talks too.
It's literally like, and he says stuff like a glass of water will spill, and he'll be like, "Oh my god, how could this happen?" And it's like literally like that.
He has huge swings in emotion. Like there's this one part where you think he's fine, and you're like, "Oh my god, Torin, he finally got his shit together, and he's gonna be okay." And then somebody says like one thing, and he loses his mind. And I'm like, Torin, your stakes are the lowest in this movie. The lowest.
Yeah, your stakes are, I don't want to talk in front of people, but I do have to tell them about a science.
Yeah.
Torin sees Callahan give that big speech earlier, and he's like, that man is good at talking to people. I'm not.
If only I could speak like him.
And then he gets yelled at by his boss, and then he's
his boss and his colleagues are such like cardboard cutouts too. They're everything they say is like, Torin, do you have the report I asked for?
Yeah. The vibes are very like J.K. Simmons from Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire. Like, you gotta do this, do that, Torin.
And their character design, they look like rejected designs for Pokemon professors in Pokemon games.
Yeah.
They look like somebody was like, what about this for the next Pokemon professor? And nah, that's too boring. We need to think of something better. And then they put all of them in this movie. So while he's, moping about this, suddenly Callahan shows up at his lab?
Yeah.
Yeah, but busts in the sliding door. And he goes, "Hey, he says, you're a Pokemon researcher, aren't you?" And Torin just goes, "Ah!" and points at him, and that's the end of the scene.
That's true. It fades out on him pointing at him and going, "Ah!" I just repeated what you said, but I can't. That was such a moment.
And then we cut to the catch race.
Oh, well,
Oh, sorry.
No, they make a deal.
Well, we don't know.
Oh,
about
we don't
it
know that. Okay. So we
until-
cut to the catch race. What it is that they put a special mark on a bunch of Pokemon and then let them loose in the city.
Insane.
Okay, pause. It was
Yeah.
at this point where I was like, what's going on? Like, there are too many things being introduced.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like
Yeah.
I was like, there are marks on the Pokemon that, like, we didn't have enough, like, a conflict already presented to, like,
Right.
have a movie. To have a movie, we had to add Pokemon with special markings. Like, it didn't even, and it didn't really matter that much.
Right.
Yeah.
It would be like in what's a movie that's like plot dense, that's like got a bunch of threads.
Pulp Fiction.
It'd be like in Pulp Fiction if suddenly 3 of the characters entered like a 3-legged race that had a very complicated set of rules, and we had to watch the whole thing.
Yeah.
The rest of the movie remains exactly the same.
Yes! Yeah. Yeah. Well, so it's wild. These Pokemon have special markings, and then they're allowed to run loose throughout the city, and they actually just start tearing things apart. They start like
Yeah.
smashing into people's like storefronts and like attacking random strangers on the street.
And there's one, they basically let a dinosaur free, and it gets tangled up in some electrical wires and gets mad about it and starts charging at anything it can.
Starts trying to kill everything.
Yeah.
It did
Also,
feel very
there's,
Hunger Games adjacent.
Yeah.
With the guy announcing and the people and the critters being let loose. It was all
no doubt.
yeah.
And the weird town-wide announcements.
Yeah.
Do do do. The catch race is starting.
So
There's also I gotta mention this, a Golduck, which is I think my absolute least favorite Pokemon.
oh, why is that, Pat?
Well, because it's the evolution of Psyduck. Why would you ever let your Psyduck evolve?
Right.
But also, it's just like it's a big grouchy, grumpy ass. Like that's its whole thing. Is it just like it doesn't like anybody, and it's just mean to everyone it comes into contact with. It is the anti-Psyduck, and I'm really mad
Like it's
about it.
Its pre-evolution is a cool duck.
Yeah, cool as hell duck.
Dang.
It's
Psychic
What
duck.
is it
and then
called?
it
Psyduck is the cool one. Golduck is the shitty one.
Got it.
and Golduck is like a worse version of a duck.
Yeah, like there's like cool ducks that you think of when you think of a duck. Like there's cool ducks in the park, and then there are like the geese with big old bumps on their horns that'll chase you and bite you. Psyduck is like one of the cool ducks. Golduck is one of the geese that'll chase you down and bite you.
It's funny because it looks like that would be the opposite. They don't match their like. You'd think that the Golduck would be the cooler of the two.
What?
What?
It's supposed to be. It's supposed to be because it's the evolution. It's the thing. It's the goal you have when you're training a Psyduck is to make it be a Golduck, and then it happens and you're like, oh, what did I do?
I refused when I played Pokemon Go. I refused to evolve any of my Psyducks.
Aww.
We find out at this point that Callahan is getting in. The deal that Callahan struck was he would do the presentation for Tauren if Tauren would Cyrano de Bergerac him and give him Pokemon advice in his ear as he played this catch competition.
Yeah, which really isn't like that much of a. They try to paint it as this is Uncle Callahan cheating and lying.
But really, it's just like somebody being like, oh, go get that one. And he's like, okay.
Yeah. But he ends up, so the Golduck and a Pseudo-Widow, who, now that Psyduck doesn't make it as many appearances as he used to, might be my new favorite.
Pseudo-Widow?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's great. He's just a lot of fun.
He's a fake tree.
he's
He's
a
a
big dope.
rock that pretends to be a tree, and he doesn't look anything like a tree.
And he does some great dances. Remember that one time we saw him dancing?
Do you know who we're talking about, Emily?
I do.
Okay.
I thought he was going to be of no use in the beginning, but he turns out to be really useful.
Oh yeah,
really
he's
does.
a big character.
Yeah. He was very cute, very sweet. Like, I was like fake tree from Wizard of Oz, like throwing apples at Dorothy. Is that where we're going?
He accidentally pisses off the Golduck, and the Golduck chases him around town. And Uncle Callahan is in a position to, I guess, catch the Pseudo-Woodo because it's weakened from running away from the Golduck, but instead captures the Golduck and saves the Pseudo-Woodo.
Yeah.
And the Sudowoodo's grateful for it.
That's right. We find out, this actually raised some questions for me. We find out that saving a Pokemon develops an even stronger bond than catching a Pokemon.
Right. We find that out because, okay, so here when Sudowoodo makes a bond with Callahan lectures Sudowoodo on pretending to be a tree. And he's like, don't lie to yourself, man. It's habit forming. And it's like, ooh, Callahan's actually really sad. This is the first glimpse we got that Callahan is actually insanely sad about his chronic lying.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. The onion opens wide open.
Yeah. So, but on the other side of the city, that dinosaur's rampaging around, and Ash is like, rather than catch it, I'm gonna help free it from the cord that got wrapped around its neck. Fucking fast forward, he does, because he's Ash.
Yeah.
And it's actually kind of badass. Like,
He's
he gets
he's
Pikachu
like-
to slow it down, and he leaps off a bridge onto its back.
Yeah. This is earlier when I said he's flipping down flights of stairs. This is what I meant. He's really just like jumping handrail. He's parkouring all over town to get on top of this dinosaur, on top of this
Yeah.
T-Rex that's running through town. He actually rides it and wrestles it so that it doesn't kill dozens of people.
And it's
I
all
mean, I
being
wish-
broadcast like on a Megatron for the townspeople.
And everyone's falling in love with it, me included. Everyone is falling in love with Ash in this town.
Yeah.
I wish I hadn't said this on the podcast before because I don't think it was earned until now, but I fucking love Ash Ketchum.
Oh.
He's
Is
good
he,
in this.
like, where do people fall with him? Do people like very much love him? Is he like, or is he not the favorite character? Like Harry
It's
Potter
so
is like
hard-
no one's favorite character.
It's so hard to tell because he's so obnoxious.
Yeah.
He's this sort of guy he's got oppositional defiance disorder for sure. He's like when you're like, hey Ash, you need to clean up before bed. He's like, you can't tell me what to do. And sometimes he yells at like gravity, like he'll yell at just like a natural force. Like he'll get stuck in mud and he yells at the mud like, you can't stop me. So so he's the worst, but he's been the main hero of Pokemon for almost 20 years, so he
Oh my
must be some
God.
people's favorite.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
saved existence times over. But he is annoying enough that you frequently have to just like take a deep breath and say, okay, he's an 11-year-old child. Please just keep that in mind.
And there's something lovable about how obnoxious and shitty and dumb and bad at everything he is. And as a podcast that's like basically built around making fun of this stuff, sometimes we think that we're inventing that, right? Like we think that we are maybe purposefully misinterpreting what they meant to say out of a movie to make
Sure,
Ash
sure,
seem
sure.
worse.
Yeah.
But then those traits just keep coming back up, and we
Yeah.
figure, okay, it's not just us. They have this written on a document somewhere that Ash will yell at nature. Ash will randomly fall down a flight of stairs. Ash is stupid, right? Like, and the consistency of his character and the absurdity of his like attitude is such that there are times when he just acts in the worst way possible, and I can't help but be like, I fucking love this kid.
Interesting. Very much like Harry Potter. Like you're just like you bratty,
Yeah, you
teenage,
dumb-
yeah, idiot.
Dumb asshole. I fucking love you, Harry Potter. Yeah, exactly. Harry Potter is a great comparison for Ash Ketchum. They are very similar in that they're bratty, dumb, psychologically damaged human beings who somehow luck into being heroes nonstop, and you can't help but love them even though you kind of hate them.
Is Ash, is there like a hero, like chosen one thing going with him, or is he just like some kid who just like absolutely rocks at this?
Sort of. He's always the chosen one, and he's always the like, he finds himself in a bunch of different mythologies. Like, he keeps running into shit where there's like these towns have these massive, like, deep, centuries old legends. And he ends up being the chosen one all those times.
Yeah, he's the one they speak of in the prophecy.
But he doesn't have, like, unlike Harry Potter, I don't think Ash has a hero complex.
He kind of jumps into that role if there's not someone already telling him that he is the chosen one.
But more often than not, somebody is telling him you are the chosen one. And he always is like, cool, I'm the best man for the job. It's more of an arrogance than like with Harry Potter, there's like a reluctant, like, I have to save everybody.
Yeah, it's definitely a complex, just maybe not a hero complex.
Yeah.
Got it.
It's like an ego complex more than a hero complex.
Yeah, but there's something wrong with that kid. He left home at 10 years old.
Yeah,
like,
his
there's
mom.
nobody
Yeah, at 10 years old, he was
Jesus.
like, "I'm gonna travel the world," and his mom was like, "Okay." Okay, so back to fucking Ash. He saves the dinosaur, and because of that, he comes in second place in the competition because everyone loves him so much.
Unky Callahan comes in first.
Callahan comes in first and impresses his niece, and while the mayor, Margot's dad, is giving him the award, he says into the microphone, announces to the whole town what he lied to that girl. What's her fucking name? Risa?
Oh, yeah, the girl with the sick brother.
Yeah. What he lied to her earlier, he just says into the microphone, like, there's an extremely rare Pokemon around here.
Yeah, and this is supposed to be his victory speech, which is, I think he just misunderstands the concept of, because the mayor's like, oh, you came in first place. Do you want to say something to all these people at the festival? And he panics, like he has to say something. And the first thing he comes up with is a news announcement.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God, the mayor needs me to save these people.
Just to like keep my story going in the best way possible. Everybody listen, so I have witnesses to hear. There is a rare Pokemon available.
Worst liar of all time. Yeah. So everybody in the town flips out about this rare Pokemon. It's even on that Pokemon News Network with the Jamiroquai boy. Then later, we see Callahan walking around and Sudowoodo's still following him, and he's like, leave me alone. And Sudowoodo's like, no. Well, he's like, ma! Whatever fucking noise he makes. And so the day one is ending, and we see like a little wrap up of all our stories. We see the mean lady, who at this point we're finding out is a main character. The mean lady goes home, and there's Pokemon fucking. First
they follow her home.
Okay, so let's back up. Mean Lady had gone to Torin's lab to give him a form that we literally never find out what it's about.
He just had to sign a form, and she gets some pink liquid spilled on her.
Yeah.
But insists that she doesn't, because Torin is like, oh, I'm sorry, did any of that get on your dress? And she goes,
like,
no!
And then she goes home. And she gets the feeling that a bunch of Pokemon are following her, and they are, and she goes into her house, and it's filled with Pokemon, and suddenly I sympathize with Mean Lady, because if I went home and my house was full of animals, I would fucking hate animals.
Yeah, this was really good. She kept, like, just turning her back, and then every time she turned around, she'd be like, there's another one of you!
Like, she's got legitimate grievances. Like, these animals are fucking with her.
But they've never explored this part of it, and I thought it was really interesting of, like, Pokemon are just the animals of this world, except they also have the intellect and behaviors of toddlers. What a nuisance that would be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They weren't like really bothering her even. It didn't seem like they were just like they were just like get off my lawn kind of nonsense.
Well, she is world famous for hating Pokemon.
Yes. That is canon.
So she goes to sleep on her porch. And we'll find out tomorrow she wakes up cuddling Pokemon. And we don't see her again for a little bit, so we'll cut away from her.
Yeah.
Risa, meanwhile, is all fucked up. She's been walking through the woods for what we know is only like an hour, but she looks like she's been walking through the woods for several days. Her makeup is smeared across her face. Her hair's everywhere.
She's got sticks and leaves like poking out of her hair and dress like she walked through a bunch of brush.
She looks emaciated. And she gets stopped by some like police officers who like, you can't be on this mountain. It's off limits, they say. Yeah. And she's like, I'm looking for this Pokemon. It's incredibly rare, and they show it to. She shows it to them, and it's just an Eevee.
Yeah, we finally see the picture of the Pokemon she's looking for.
And they're
Callahan
like,
oh,
it's not like around here. It's kind of like, right? Didn't they say like, oh, it's not like
it's not around here, and it's not rare.
Yeah.
You know what we missed? So she gets extremely mad at Uncle Callahan in her head. She's like, oh, old man that lied to me.
And she storms away.
But you know what we missed is just moments earlier, once the Pokemon TV host is like, breaking news, there's a rare Pokemon somewhere near the Wind Festival.
Yeah.
We get literally a 3-second shot of these two shady looking dudes in a pickup truck watching that news and going, yes.
That's true.
And this 3 seconds of two characters we've never met before will absolutely come up later. It's vital to the plot.
Wow.
Yeah. And it's literally like that. They just go, yeah.
If we're still following, what's it, Riesling's story?
We're starting Riesling.
She eventually finds Ash, and
she goes to his hotel. Why does he have a hotel?
Who gave Ash a hotel?
Yeah. He usually sleeps in like hostels, and now he's in a fucking like 4-star hotel, it looks like.
But she finds him and is like, oh, you're the runner-up in the catch contest. You have to help me find this extremely rare Pokemon.
And he's like, that's just an Eevee. This'll be easy.
Your Ash is very similar to your Meowth.
My Meowth, he's got a little bit of an accent, but my Ash, he just sounds like a little boy. But yeah, it's the exact same register. I'm obnoxious, and I'm more obnoxious.
So there's a lot of dumb stuff and absolutely no romantic tension between Ash and Riesling.
He just doesn't know.
Yeah, he doesn't get it. He's not there yet. He's still young.
And we found out in a previous movie he might be gay, but he's attracted to Pokemon, so he might be. He's attracted to a Pokemon who was a lady, so he might be bi, but he also just doesn't fucking get it.
There's a lot.
But
he almost hit puberty
Pokemon,
once, but then they de-aged him.
Do they not have gender?
They do have gender.
They do.
They do. Man, maybe I missed. Okay, I kept thinking that they were saying like Zaraora. Well, we'll get to.
Yeah, because they haven't gotten there yet. But another vital thing to
right, and they do say the name. You know, his name doesn't appear until about an hour into the movie, but they say it enough that you feel like it's been there the whole time.
Oh yeah.
They call the Pokemon it.
Yeah, I wasn't sure. I just wasn't sure. That was one of my main bigger questions. In addition to who is the target audience for this motion picture?
Oh boy, what a question.
So
us, this podcast?
Yeah, I would say people watching so they can understand what we're talking about on this podcast is no, I think that you wouldn't know this, Emily, but they had like 20 movies following Ash just through like a consistent storyline that went along with the television show. And then this is the second movie of a brand new canon, where the last movie was just starting all over again. Ash leaves his house for the first time to go on his Pokemon journey and meet Pikachu. So this, I think, is for
new kids.
Kids who were too young to remember Pokemon when it started and didn't have the time to commit to watch 20 Pokemon movies plus, I don't know, 6 seasons of television to catch up.
Risa finds Ash. They go to look for Eevee. They find it fucking immediately. Ash teaches her how to battle a Pokemon and catch it. He lends her Pikachu. Her eyebrows disappear.
Correct.
She catches
hang on.
the Eevee.
Let's back up a second because this, I think Ash is. I thought this was sick. Where Ash, is
Pat, the listening audience just heard her eyebrows disappear, and then we didn't.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Matt. Do you have a better explanation for why her eyebrows disappeared?
Can you imagine listening to this podcast though and being like, wait, her eyebrows? Wait, what? Her eyebrows disappeared?
After this whole sequence, Ash just looks at her and says, "Where are your eyebrows?" And she goes and covers the spot where her eyebrows used to be, and then it's never addressed again. We didn't get a reason that she lost it, and we don't get any further explanation for it. So that's all there is to be said about it. She lost her eyebrows. Let's move on. But there's when she's catching the Eevee, Ash is like, "Why don't you take Pikachu and I'll tell you exactly what to do and you'll catch this Eevee by the end of it." And he's commanding her like a Pokemon, like he would a Pokemon that he's battling with. He's like, "Risa, tell Pikachu to use Thunderbolt." And then Risa would go, "Pikachu used Thunderbolt." And Pikachu would do it. And you'd be like, "Risa, now throw ball." And she would like, and she'd throw the Pokeball at it and it would work. He's getting a little power hungry because now he's commanding people like he would Pokemon.
It's so funny that Pikachu is listening to this. Like clearly within earshot. And he's like, "Tell Pikachu to use Thunderbolt." And Pikachu's like, "I'm not going to fucking do it until she says it."
There's one point where the Eevee is attacking and Ash is like, "Tell Pikachu to dodge." And Risa's just like, "What?" And then Pikachu doesn't dodge. She just takes the hit. And she's like, "Oh, I'm sorry. Next time I'll tell you to dodge the attack."
Then her eyebrows disappear. Okay, Eevee hates her. When she catches Eevee, she succeeds. And Eevee hates her. And Ash is like, "You'll figure it out." But then she gets all energized. She's like, "Oh, this is like the feeling I used to have when I ran before my injury." And then she gets into her whole backstory. "Before I hurt my foot and then I couldn't run forever. And then now I'm afraid of running." And whatever.
So she's got a backstory. It's important.
But like the backstory was just that she ran and now she didn't. And then we think maybe is going to run again. That's the whole thing.
Yeah. Which we absolutely understood from her staring longingly at the track runners in the very first scene of this movie.
Yeah.
And the deep, intense close-up of her shoes, ankle area.
With like a dramatic stinger playing under.
Yeah.
As Ash is giving her a pep talk, Officer Jenny rides by, and we find out that there's been vandalism in the town. Somebody stole the Eternal Flame and smashed up a bunch of shit.
Yeah, but they're calling them pranksters.
Yeah.
And also, did we get an explanation for what the Eternal Flame is earlier?
Nope.
Okay, but it's missing.
Emily, did you get an explanation for what the Eternal Flame was?
I didn't think so, and I felt like, okay, at this point, I will just go with it, because if it's something that we need to know, I feel like I should just grab onto it and not be angry. I need to. Like,
are you sure you've never seen another Pokemon movie?
I'm swinging in a jungle, and I just need to take the next rope. And if the next rope is the Eternal Flame, that will lead me to success. Like, I will listen and I will grab that rope. And so that's what I chose to do.
I was losing my fucking mind. I was like, what the fuck is the Eternal Flame? Where is it? What?
I also felt like I was the least strong on the grandma's storyline. Like, out of all of them, I was like, I need to like have a star focus on like 2, and then lesser on a couple of others, just so I can keep track some of this.
Yeah.
And I was like, maybe it has something to do with one of the storylines, like the grandmas, that I just don't know, and I'm just gonna. And I just fucked up. And so I was like, well, maybe it's my fault. There's an eternal flame, there's a forest, and there's wind. It's okay.
So Risa and Ash decide to go to the vandalism. They're like, we'll go help, and they show up. At the vandalism, we see basically everybody else. Right before this, the mean lady had gone to, after she woke up cuddling a bunch of Pokemon, she had gone to the green-haired scientist Torin's lab and been like, hey, what the fuck is wrong with these Pokemon? They keep following me. And he's like, when that pink stuff fell, it was sweet scent, and it attracts Pokemon, and I think you got it on you. And she's like, well, fix it. And he's like, I can't. And then he starts, like, petting and caring for the Pokemon, and that's when we find out, Torin really loves Pokemon. The end.
He still has to give his presentation, right?
He still has to give his presentation.
My man.
He's counting on Callahan to do it for him. But Callahan, meanwhile, is at the vandalism. Yeah,
he gets roped into helping clean up the vandalism.
Right.
He's being blackmailed because Risa knows that he lied.
So when Ash and Risa show up, they see Callahan, and Risa's like, you lied to me! And he's like, he literally fucking grabs her and puts his hand over her literal mouth.
Yeah. Don't you fucking say a word about it. I'm in front of my niece.
Can you imagine being anywhere and seeing an old man grab a young girl physically with his arms and put his hand over her mouth and start whispering in her ear, and not immediately being like, hey, cops? Every cop? Hey, every single authority? Hey, the mayor who's right here? This man should be in jail forever.
Every magical Pokemon animal that is available, are you busy? Because I got a task for you.
Are you busy? Because this man just touched a young girl on her mouth.
Yeah.
Well, we know where Ash's priorities are.
Ash spent so long trying to make excuses for Brock. He probably sees this sort of thing and he's like, he probably has his reasons.
It could be a lot worse.
So, yuck.
Yeah.
While they're cleaning up all this shit, the little lemonade boys tell them about Zorora's curse. Oh, and Margot's there. The mayor's daughter is there, and she's like, "Oh, that's Ash. He helped me. He helped save me from a lemon."
Yeah. And the lemonade boys are fine. They're not mad at anybody.
Nah, they're being cool.
This has all been resolved.
And they're helping clean up the vandalism too, so that's all good. And supposedly there's Zorora's curse. If a human sets foot in the mountains, it brings a curse upon the festival. Margot's like, no, it doesn't, you pieces of fuck. And then she shoots them with a gun. No, I think I misremembered.
I didn't get the curse part. I was like, we're doing a curse now? Like,
okay, so there's a magical gem called the Eternal Flame. There's a curse. There's a Pokemon hidden in the wood. There's a man who can't stop lying.
There's a wind festival.
There's a chemical on a lady that's making Pokemon follow her. There's 3 ruffians trying to sell lemonade.
And then there's the speech.
Okay, fuck. Okay, so the mean lady and Torin. The mean lady is watching Torin try to deliver the speech.
He is at a loss for words. He decides he has to get up in front of the mic, give the presentation himself, even though he doesn't know how, and it goes as horribly as it could. Like every nightmare stage fright scenario you imagine before you go on stage happens to him. He gets up, he goes, and
the mic feeds back and he yells.
Yeah,
he
screams.
Gets
scared
it's
of
like,
the feedback.
And he's like, ah!
The entire room is silent, and they edit it in like room sound so you can hear the silence in the room, except for the one other scientist that is loudly whispering to him, just do the presentation. You can do this.
I I want to talk about these motherfucking scientists, because later they complain about this. We might as well talk about it now rather than later. They complain about how bad he is, and it's like, yo, you know how bad this guy is at talking.
Yeah.
Why don't one of you give the presentation?
Yeah,
why
he's been having a panic attack about it.
Department to do this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why does it fall on it's his responsibility to do the only thing he can't do?
Yeah. Don't you have a communications department? Come on.
Right.
But then the other scientists are like, "What? Just show the visual part of the presentation if you can't speak." And I don't know where he got this, but he puts a video card in the projector, and it just starts projecting him telling Uncle Callahan how to win the catch race.
Like what?
Uncle Callahan cheated, and Uncle Callahan's there because he just arrived. Yeah. He just got there after running from cleaning up the shit, and his niece is there and is like, Uncle Callahan lied. And at this moment, his like super secret Pokeball falls out, and she finds out it's empty, and she's like, and your Pokeball is empty?
And she runs away, and Kelly's mom is not concerned.
Yeah, and she ends up in the hospital, and she's sick because he lied.
Yeah.
And we find out that because he lied, it made her more sick. And then again, we're jumping through time a little bit, but he tells Pseudo-Woodow's like trying to give him a pep talk as he's walking away down like a dark, rainy street from his sick niece who he lied to. And he's like, stop following me. I've given up lying. Which is supposed to be a sad, like to us, we're supposed to be like, oh, that's sad. He gave up lying. What? We're supposed to be sad about him giving up lying? And then he sleeps on a park bench.
Dang, I feel like I was in the story so much. I was like, he gave up lying. He did it. He did it, my friend. I was like, I think I've been tricked by Pokemon to feeling like sorry for this man who I should not feel sorry for.
No, I'm a real sucker. So they do this. This is like the halfway point of the movie. Everybody's story arc all of a sudden gets very sad. And I am a real sucker for that, like, getting rejected when you just want to be loved kind of story.
Yeah.
Like the go on, get out of here. Nobody wants you here.
Yeah.
Sort of thing. Because you know that Uncle Callahan doesn't mean it and that he has found a friend. He just doesn't know how to have friends. So like he's being mean to Pseudo-Woodow. It's, I don't know, that and then the old lady who clearly at this point likes Pokemon but is still saying she hates Pokemon.
Yeah.
Is also doing the same thing where she's like, I don't need your love.
Which is supposed to be dramatic, but also it's like, yo, these Pokemon have been stalking her for a day. Of course she should tell them to stop following her.
It tugged on my heart. I was really like, oh shit, I'm feeling this. Right? It was back me up here, Emily.
Always, Pat.
I guess you don't
totally
have to.
back you up.
So, to catch everybody up to this sad part, because we actually have to start racing through. We are halfway through the movie, and we're an hour and 45 minutes into this podcast.
Okay. Oh my god!
I know.
So mention this every episode.
The Team Rocket steals something from the lab. Ash tries to catch them and fucking fails. Like, Team Rocket actually competently beat Ash and run away.
Yeah, they disappear.
Yeah.
They do like a smoke bomb disappear.
And Risa's Eevee gets trampled by a crowd, and she saves it with Thorn's help, and then it loves her and it cuddles with her.
That was very sweet.
Team Rocket go to the woods, and they can't find the thing they stole, and we find that it's like in the middle of, it's just like in the grass. They lost it while they were running away. It's the next morning, and there's no more wind.
Yeah.
In the city? Wait, there's no more wind in the city that learned to live in harmony with the wind?
That's
Sick. It's funny they don't really differentiate between, because I was thinking like, they know that air exists. Is air and like oxygen to breathe? Are they like not shocked with that, but are very shocked with the wind? Is wind like just the motion of the air?
Well,
you know
yeah,
what I
it's
mean?
not
Like,
supposed to move.
Air shouldn't move. It goes in my
Yeah.
lung and then comes out of my lung.
What if it
Yeah.
moves out of town?
So.
Oh, we missed a thing.
Oh God.
Right before Torin gives his big failed speech, they pan to the crowd that's gathered around to watch the speech, and there's a Psyduck.
The first appearance of
It's the first appearance of Psyduck. Pat, what's the timestamp?
That timestamp, Matt, is 38 minutes and 29 seconds.
Okay.
He shows up in the crowd. You gotta have your eye out for him, like I always do. And he keeps popping up throughout the movie. He is just like, he's the main Pokemon of one of the townspeople extras in the movie, so he just keeps showing up.
Yeah, it's great. So let's go back to
Dang.
fucking-
Absolutely rocked.
Okay, so the wind's gone, and we find out it's because the Eternal Flame is missing.
Yeah.
So the city, who apparently has no police force, no emergency response team, no professionals whatsoever, send 10-year-old Ash up to check out the crime scene.
They do bring Officer Jenny in.
Officer Jenny zooms past on a motorcycle at one point, but we never see her again for the rest of the movie.
No, she's running around town being like, all right, everybody calm down. Just because we're out of wind doesn't mean we're all going to die. Like it's
Okay.
almost like directing traffic, but directing people's panic.
So Pikachu detects a scent up at the crime scene and traces it all the way back to Torin's Smeargle.
Oh, yeah.
Yikes.
Which is like something halfway between a dog and a mushroom, right?
Turbo nerds will get this reference. It looks exactly like Crafty from Grant Morrison's Animal Man.
All right, eat it up, nerds.
Okay, all right, let's keep going. Oh, but his tail is a paintbrush, yeah. And
Turns out that when Team Rocket was stealing the weird spore that they stole, they spilled Smeargle essence on themselves.
yuck.
Look,
Bad.
this is what they explained to the children that watched this movie.
Torrent's like, oh, I have a black light that'll help figure this out. And when he figures it out, I have a lot of questions. But okay.
Is one of them, why didn't you try this before?
So, cut to the woods. Some Pokemon hunters catch a Sentret. Then all that stuff we just said happens. And then they happen upon Margot, who is back in the woods with her friends at the abandoned building. And the Pokemon hunters show up and they're like, we're looking for this rare Pokemon. And she's like, oh yeah, it went that away. And she points off in a direction. And then they're like, wait. And then they see some Pokemon, and they're like, we're going to catch these before she goes. And then she's like, no, those are my friends. And then, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, a big, what looks like a rejected character from Sonic the Hedgehog universe jumps out and saves them all. This is
Zero
Zeraora.
Aura.
Zeraora. How do you guys feel about Zeraora?
I think it actually has a quite strong aura. It's literally radiating energy.
Love.
Yeah, guys.
I loved Zeraora. God, if this movie could just focus on one thing. This movie wanted, like, towards the end, wanted to be the Lorax. And I was just like, if you want to be the Lorax, if you want to have all this, like, environmental themes and, like, you know, speak for the trees and all that, just do that and forget everything else, because you could have brought, like, the lore of Zeraora, like, in at the beginning and had it, like, be the one thing that we follow throughout the whole movie, instead of, like, going all down these, like, crazy random paths
Instead of
with,
getting
like, potions.
60 minutes into the movie.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Suddenly we're watching this story about this, like, this legendary, this mythical Pokemon that's, like, in the woods protecting other Pokemon. And it's got this horrible backstory, or this, not horrible, but this, like, tragic backstory. But we had to spend 30 some minutes on a girl's broken foot who wants to run track.
I will say the thing I love about this scene is that the Pokemon hunters that we see are those two guys that were just sitting in their truck in the woods earlier that we got a 3-second shot of and nothing else. They are running through the woods catching Pokemon, and first of all, they're jacked. They are like, if you watched like an anime that's made for adults, and those artists take like time to really accent all the muscles on each character, and it's they look like that, while everyone else looks like a weird cartoon child. And they're just running around the woods. The one is saying, I love being a Pokemon hunter. I love hunting Pokemon. And the other is just going, yeah. That's the... So we know that's how we know they're Pokemon hunters.
Yeah. They beat up Zoroark. I'm going to call him Sonic from here on out. It's Sonic with a Z. Because he looks like a Sonic character. So they beat up Sonic, and he falls over, and because he was already injured for some reason, and they're about to shoot a net gun at the Teddy Ursa and the Ditto, and Margot leaps in front of it, but then who leaps in front of that? It's fucking Ash Ketchum again.
And Pikachu.
And Pikachu.
Because if it was just Ash, he would just be stuck in the net with everyone else.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I guess I would have had to. Which is not unlike Ash, but also isn't what happened. So we can't lie. We can't lie to these poor folks.
This is another like really badass Ash moment, though. He steps in and does his like, oh, why don't you pick on somebody your own size?
Yeah, he does that same sort of thing. Like he's not like, you assholes, fuck with me now. He's like, oh, you must be out here trying to catch Pokemon. Well, we have some Pokemon here. You want to try to catch those? Like, that's like how he treats it.
He's doing that same like.
Did you guys know that he was gonna like jump in and do that? Like, did you have a feeling that he was gonna do it? Because I just from like the previous interaction, I was like, oh, he's gonna come in and save the day.
I knew something would save, like I knew there'd be some sort of Deus Ex Machina kind of thing that would save her at the last minute, but I didn't, for whatever reason, I didn't make the connection that Ash would, like Ash's current quest would lead him to Margot.
Didn't know it would be Deus Ash Machina.
Heyo, Pat's fired. Get out. I'm the new co-host. Wow. Could you imagine?
Matt Ockham, Emily Kinslow, watching every Pokemon movie back to back.
If I were going to get fired for making Deus Ex Machina puns, it would have happened a year and a half ago.
So the mayor shows up. It's and like it's like an added bonus after Ash saves the day. Then we have the mayor to come in and really like shoo off the scoundrels into the night.
Right. It's like this crazy thing where it's like, now the mayor is one of the main characters, and he's just running around with the gang being an adventurer?
Yeah.
And he's mad at his daughter for awakening Zero Aura, but then is like, oh, this is all my fault. I've actually, through shady government practices, accidentally terrified the whole town.
Yeah,
about Zero Aura, and it's
because the previous mayor pretended like Sonic was gone, and he wasn't. We always knew he was here, and we made the mountain off limits so that no one would ever see him again. Because one time they all chased him with pitchforks or whatever.
It's this weird. He's like, I had to continue the lie. You have to understand.
But we also find out that the girl is the one who took Margot is the one who took the flame, the eternal flame, which is just a gem on a stick.
Yep. It's why is it like a lightsaber, like spear.
Yeah, why is it called the eternal flame? We don't know. What is it? We don't know. Why does it do what it does? We have no fucking idea.
It sure as hell sits on top of a windmill.
Yeah, why would it be that the flame produces the wind?
Because it is the beacon it's like a lighthouse. It's the beacon by which Lugia directs its wind.
Got
Is it? Wait, sorry to hold this up here. Can we touch on that? Because I feel like in past movies they have called this bird Pokemon Lugia, and in this movie they were calling it Lugia.
Oh boy.
I don't know, man.
As long as it's not just me.
Ash has been the chosen one to summon Lugia before, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
but that was a different canon, so it makes sense that he doesn't know what's going on.
She says about how she made friends with Zonic by a rock slide almost fell on her and it saved her.
Yeah, she's just hanging out under a falling boulder.
And that's why it got hurt, and it's been hurt this whole movie.
Got a hernia.
And the mean lady somehow already knew how, like, most of this. She's like, everybody from my age knew. Hold on, I have a question here. Why was the fucking little girl covered in Smeargle jizz?
Yeah. What? Why was that? Like,
They never explain it. When we thought it was Team Rocket,
Matt. I don't know why. I know you're posing this to the crew, but I have no idea.
when we thought it was Team Rocket, it made sense, and then it turned out to be the little girl, and I was like, wait, this doesn't make any fucking sense.
Yikes! I'll throw a yikes on there.
Yeah, that's a big yikes from me. Patch, do you do a yikes or a nikes?
Nikes.
Ooh.
It's not any less sensical than anything else in this.
Let's throw it out to the people listening. 607-323-7168. Yikes or nikes?
Oh boy.
After
yuck.
you're done.
Sometimes you throw in a yuck, and I really like that. I think that should be another multiple choice option.
Yikes, nikes, and yuck?
Yeah.
Yeah. The little girl covered in Smeargle essence. Is that yikes, nikes, or yuck? And that's all we want you to call about this week.
Yeah, feel free to say anything else you want, but also feel free to say nothing else.
Just call up, say yikes, and then hang up, or nikes, and hang up, or
I'm Emily. I'm a yikes.
I'm Madam Yikes.
Hi, I'm Pat. I guess now that yuck is an option, no, I'm going to go with nikes. I think that nothing inappropriate happened here.
Absolute twist ending.
Okay, so at this exact moment, that weird thing that Team Rocket stole explodes in the woods, and there's a really like cool looking gas that starts spreading throughout the town.
Yeah, the cloud effect is neat.
Yeah, it's real cool looking.
Yeah.
But it's also deadly.
Torin tells us it's effect spore, which is a thing that makes, like, it's like a nerve toxin. It makes the nerves in your body go dead and you fall numb and you can't move.
And it sounds terrifying because the cloud is engulfing the entire city. But Ash is like, no, it's okay. We've got Pokemon power.
Oh my god. Okay. So yeah, he basically is like, come on, guys, let's run into it. And they're like, Ash, we have to have a plan. And Ash goes on this whole big speech, and he's like, we can do anything because we have Pokemon, and if you can't do it with a Pokemon, you can do it. And we call this Pokemon power. And the mean lady and Risa and I'm guessing the three of us on this podcast all went, what the fuck, man?
Yeah.
Pokemon power? What the fuck are you talking about?
It was fun to watch
Was
everyone
it, like,
roll their
alluding
eyes.
to later, like relying on one's Pokemon for partnership?
I have a theory that this whole movie, and it's starting to make me think this whole, and like, I know I'm about to say something very obvious here, but like I mean it in a like slightly less obvious way. That this whole series is just an advertisement for Pokemon, and not just like, oh, here's a thing to display Pokemon in a fun way but like what it's trying to do is like the point of this movie, and now I'm thinking the point of all these movies is the only moral is if you have Pokemon, your life is better.
They are begging us to invent real Pokemon.
Yeah.
That's the point of all these movies.
And so all of our characters except for Callahan are there. Everybody's there. The mayor, the mean lady, Risa, the Margot, Zonic, Ash, Torin, every Pokemon, they're all there.
All of them.
And they're like, all right, let's come up with a plan. And like Torin's like, oh, I can make something that counteracts this toxin. And the old lady, who is apparently named Harriet, and she invented the big she invented the big power plant we learned about earlier that burnt down.
Yeah. Which is, we'll find out in a moment, actually just a fan. All it does is blow wind into the town so that the windmills can make power.
Harriet's like, yeah, I can turn my wind power plant in reverse and it just blows instead of sucks wind. Instead of uses wind, it makes wind. And she's like, I'll turn it on. And then Torrin gives Ash a potion, which never comes back up.
A super potion.
A super potion. And the mayor is like, I'll go tell the town to help. And Margot will come with me. Margot stays behind. Fuck. Okay. Ash, Margot, and Risa stay behind to take care of the Zerora. Torrin and the mean lady go to the lab to make the antidote and then bring the antidote to the windmill.
So they can...
spray it on the town.
So they can spray it on the town to counteract
the mayor goes to his office to tell the town what's going on.
He gets to his office and the people are like, Mr. Mayor, what do we do? And he just very solemnly goes, we're using Pokemon power. Grabs some sort of weird key and walks out. I love that his staff is probably still just panicking. Like, they're coming up with their own plan because they think the mayor has lost it.
Yeah. In the meantime, Callahan's niece gets stuck on a... What do you call those?
A gondola.
Gondola.
Callahan calls his sister, the mother of his niece, obviously. And they're
all
like...
he's doing at this point is moping, so he's probably calling her to just be like, hey, do you think I suck really bad or what?
Yeah, and she's like, "Oh no, we're fine. We're above all this gas because we're in the gondola, the town gondola that's here."
And he's like, and then Sudowoodo's like, "Let's go help them." I mean, in Sudowoodo, he just says Sudowoodo a bunch. And he's like, I can't help. All I can do is lie. And I'm weak. And I'm stupid. And I suck. And I'm dumb. And I'm ugly. And I'm fat. And I'm stupid. And he snots all over himself.
They animate the snot pouring out of his nose and then going back in when he breathes in. And then Sudowoodo just looks at him and grabs his hand. And Callahan goes like, what do you mean?
So they cry for a really long time and hug until Sudowoodo is like, yo, dude, there's gas and it's coming at us and we're gonna die. We're gonna fucking die. And they stop hugging and they're like, we're gonna save it. Hold on a second. I have to back up 1 second. I apologize. I have to back up to where Ash was saying that we all have partner Pokemon and that's how we can beat this because, we have the Pokemon power.
Yeah.
All the fucking people in the town that are getting nerve gas, they have Pokemon too! You dumb nerd!
They're not using their Pokemon power.
Is having a Pokemon different than having Pokemon power?
Yeah, if you're actually asking us, Emily, this is the first time we've heard of Pokemon power.
Okay. I was asking. I really was.
It's like, what is love? What is Pokemon power? Who is God? What is Pokemon power?
I guess we did see that one, what was it called? That fighting move, the Ash Greninja, where it's Ash and a Greninja.
Oh my god, Pat, do you want this podcast to be an extra hour?
No, okay, you know what? Forget I said it.
So Torrin has to tell the rest of the scientists how they're going to help, so he has to be a public speaker, and he repeats to himself, Pokemon power, Pokemon power, Pokemon power, Pokemon power. Like, that's that episode of Rugrats where Chucky Finster had to go down the slide and repeat to himself, I'm a big brave dog, I'm a big brave dog, I'm a big brave dog. But he does it. He's like, this is how... He's like, Chansey pokes him in the side, and he's like, I've got Pokemon power. I'm going to tell you guys this is how we're going to save the day. And all the scientists are like, you're the best scientist ever. We'll help you.
Sorry, can I tell you what blew my mind about this moment in the movie?
Yeah.
He goes into the lab and he talks to the scientists, and as soon as... So this whole time, he's wearing... he's got bright green long hair.
I know what you're going to say.
it covers up one of his eyes, just like a classic anime character animation.
Yeah.
But he explains to the scientists what they need to do. They're like, hey, we trust you. You're a good scientist. You'll save us all. And he is relieved. So he goes to take off his glasses and kind of like rub his brow a little bit. He's not wearing glasses. He's wearing a monocle. This whole time,
What?
he has just been
What?
wearing a single lens over one eye. And I assumed because the rest of his head is covered in hair
That it was glasses.
that it was a pair of glasses. But you can go back. You can check the tapes. It's a monocle.
Dang, that
Oh my
means
gosh.
the writers thought as hard as possible for like the longest con of a joke to be like, "You'll never know. He just has a monocle," and they're probably just like, this one's for us, guys. This one's for us.
You always got to put one in the script just for the writers. At this point, I don't think there's a point in following individual storylines because everybody's kind of tied together at this point. So
Yeah, they're working together.
we cut back to Zonic, and he's
Zero aura.
and he's waking up from when he got beat up by the Pokemon hunters, and he's flashing back to humans being mean to him in the past and like chasing him with pitchforks and torches and stuff. And he almost attacks Margot and Ash and Risa, but then they calm him down. And
He does. Ash just takes the hit. Ash like pushes what's her name out of the way and just lets himself
Oh my
get
God, that's
electrocuted. But then he's
Yeah,
like,
Margot?
"No, I'm fine. He's shooting an electric beam at me, but let me handle this."
that's right. Ash gets literally electrocuted, and he's like, "I know you want to be my friend."
He even turns his hat around like he's
Yeah.
getting ready to battle. It's fucking it's real bizarre.
But then Zonic runs away and towards the fire that started in the woods. And I don't.
Yeah.
Why did that fire start? Did you guys?
Oh,
catch
there's
that?
it's just an explosion.
There's just apart from the gas flooding into the city, there's a different, completely unrelated explosion that starts a fire.
In the hills by
I
the
think
power
so.
plant.
What the fuck?
There was nobody
Yes.
there. None of the characters that we know were there. I feel like they may have cut out maybe one or two characters in this movie. So we're missing like somebody else's frenetic storyline.
Maybe the guy who owns the Psyduck.
Yeah.
He started the fire by like the Psyduck tripped over something and.
Or maybe like the Pokemon Hunters or the Lemonade Boys, any of those other characters that
God, I love the Lemonade
That's-
Boys. All right, yeah, okay. Lemonade Boys going in the fanfic. So we got Native American necklace seller. We got hot dog robot. We got the old Pokemon hunter from 17 movies ago. We have the doctor. What the fuck was his name? Like Sherlock Tesla or some crazy shit. I don't remember what it was, but it was a crazy name like that. And we have somebody's got a 607-323-7168. Call us and let us know who all our people are.
Yeah,
But
please,
anyway,
please.
the Lemonade Boys are part of this gang.
Yeah, Lemonade Boys, absolutely. I would nominate Uncle Callahan.
But he's already a main character.
He is a main character, but he's one of like 7 or 8 main characters. It's fine.
Still nobody's beat the hot dog robot for me. But anyway, there's a robot that served hot dogs, Emily. It was the best thing in the world.
Dang.
I'm a vegetarian, and it was my favorite character in this whole
Wow,
series.
transcending.
Unclear if it's a Pokemon or not.
Transcending ethics.
Yeah.
Cut to the power plant, right, where Granny is instructing people on how to turn it on, and
Wait, so there is a moment right before this where they're convening in the mayor's office, old lady Torin and the mayor, and Callahan runs in because of he was inspired by Sudowoodo, and he's like, "Let's help fix the city," and they're all like, "Good idea." Like nobody's like, "Dude, we've already." Of course we're trying to get out of the way. You're in the way. They're like,
we knew we were planning for something.
basically, Baby busts in and is like, "I have an idea. Let's actually save the city." Anyway, so yeah.
Grandma tells this story about why she hates Pokemon, and it's just
And she has a key.
she has the
She
key
has
now.
She has the key.
The key.
The the end, she's telling a story about how she
Which
used
is-
to have a snubble.
The key, which is Maltese Falcon number 7
Yeah.
in this movie so far.
She flashes back to when she was a child, and the snubble was trying to prevent the power plant from blowing
I
up.
don't fucking know, man.
I don't know what exactly why they're in a dangerous situation, but the snubble sacrifices itself.
The
to-
power plant is on fire, and the snubble kills itself to make sure that the power plant got turned off before they left. Like, I'm trying to save your electric bill.
But she can't save it, and because she can't save it, she decides that she despises Pokemon and will spend the rest of her life yelling at them.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
The mayor gives this little gang of ruffians a really fun name. He calls them a countermeasure team to solve various problems.
Oh yeah, because he's making an announcement to the
yeah.
whole city, and he's like, "We've got a countermeasure team to solve various problems, and once we solve the problem, we need all of you guys to run into the hills and try to put out the fire with us." It's like, you don't have a fucking fire department?
They
What is this
And
town?
also,
They
this
don't
has
have a
been
police
a problem
department.
before, right? Like, right? Like, this has been a problem in the past. Like, wind is a very good conductor of fire. Why wouldn't you have like a sufficient? I mean, they have the sprinklers that come on in the end, like by a miracle. But like, why wouldn't
Yeah.
you have other means of?
What-
Come on.
You would think that you could win the mayorship, the mayorhood, a mayoral election in this city by just being like, "And I will form a fire department," and everyone will be like, "Oh my god, fucking finally!"
I've switched us to solar power.
Also at the same time, Ash has told Margot and Ash go to chase Zorora to the fire, and Ash has told Risa, "You've got to run because you're a runner." Even though she told him specifically she was the opposite of that. He was like, "You're a runner. You've got to run and bring the eternal flame to the city so Lugia can come back." And like, I don't know why Lugia coming back has anything to do with any of this, but
But all of a sudden, they are standing next to the eternal flame.
well, he's like, "You've got to bring the eternal flame," and she's like, I can't run." And he's like, "You'll do fine."
Yeah,
And then she's like, "I can't," and she starts crying, and then Eevee starts dragging the eternal flame with his mouth and his injured leg, and she's like, "Why are you trying so hard?" That's line number 1. Line number 2, "With a Pokemon, I can do anything." And so she grabs the thing and they run. They run all the way to where the eternal flame goes. Back to, this is where I was like, these movies are literally just an advertisement. The only moral there, it's not like if you believe in yourself, you can do anything. The moral there is if you have a Pokemon,
Yeah,
you can do
exactly.
stuff you couldn't do otherwise.
It implies that like little kids are needing to go out. Kids in general, just if you have a Pokemon on your person, you will be fine.
You have superpowers.
Yeah.
So, and here's another line that happens. There's a moment where Torin is trying to figure out how he's going to save the city, and he yells out loud, "I've got to think harder than anyone in the world!" This is another perfect line. Then Mean Lady hates Pokemon. Oh, Risa is running, and she's running from the smoke, and suddenly her brother calls, and he's basically like, this isn't what he says, but basically he's like, "I've hacked the mainframe, and I found a path that you can follow through the smoke using computers and science."
Yeah.
Oh my god, I love that. I love like an HQ shot of like we forgot all about Riley from
Yeah.
National Treasure in the van outside of Independence
the
Hall.
guy in the chair.
But you know what? Here he comes saving the day. I was like, I forgot all about the kid in the hospital, but he comes back.
And as
Also-
if she was a host of this podcast,
Yeah.
Risa says, "Wait, how would you know where I am?" And he literally says, "Don't worry about it," as if he's talking to us, this podcast.
Correct. That is correct.
His high-tech advice for her to get the eternal flame back to the top of the mountain is keep running.
Yeah, Torin figures out how to make the cure. The end. End of that thread. Torin figures it out. He thought harder than anyone else in the world, and he made it. The end. Okay.
Cut to the power plant.
Now they're in the power plant.
Somebody asks if they need to plug it in. Do we need electricity to start this thing?
I mean, usually you plug stuff into the power plant, not the other way around.
Did you try turning it off and on?
So, what they have to do is, with their own fucking hands, they have to turn a turbine to start this wind power plant. So literally 7 Pokemon and a fat man with their bare hands. And 3 of those Pokemon are literally babies. They turn on a power plant with their bare hands.
But then they realize the issue is that in order to get the cure to the gas, the cure has to be in front of the fan that's blowing wind over the entire town, and they're behind the fan.
This is our one flaw in our plan.
So Uncle Callahan,
who displayed his throwing prowess earlier in the movie,
grabs the cure, which is conveniently contained in a glass ball, and says, "I can throw it."
And of course, Torin is like,
yeah, he freaks out and is like, "This is my whole team's life work that you're about to throw." And Callahan is like, "Do you have a better fucking idea?" And Torin is like, "No." And he's like, "Okay, well, I'm gonna fucking throw it then, my dude."
Listen, kid, there's 2 things I do, and I do them well, and they're lying and throwing.
It's like, what if he had to lie the gas canister through the air?
Listen, I got it.
He has to tell the gas canister it's already there and lie to it, and then it just like reality shifts and it's there, and it's like, oh, the power of flying really came in handy.
I would love for that to be the moral of this story.
So, yeah, he throws it. He gets it. It does it. They turn on the thing.
Yeah.
He throws the thing. The gas is gone. Everybody's saved. Except for there's still 2 problems. Because there's 9 characters and 9 character arcs, we've solved, 2 problems now? And there's still 3 to go or whatever. One of which is that the woods are still on fire. The other one is that Lugia doesn't know how to get to the town because the light is turned off because the eternal flame. Oh my god. So, we're at the abandoned building that's on fire, and Sonic is pushes over 3 trees to help, and Ash and Margot each throw 1 bucket of water.
They each have a bucket of water, and they toss it on, and then they go, "The fire's not going out!"
It's not a great strategy.
And then, like, when they do that big, like, what would be, like, a drone shot over the whole forest, and it's, like, all on fire, and they have their 2 little buckets, and they're like, "I think we can do it. I think we got it."
But then all of a sudden there is a burst of something.
Dramatic.
A burst of drama. And then the smoke parts, and there's the mayor with, like,
the whole town
and
Correct.
60 Pokemon.
And all of them have buckets.
Yeah, they've each got their 1 bucket of water. Must be a thing they give out when you get to town.
Everybody keep this bucket of water in a closet in your house in case there's another fire. We don't have a fire department.
Somebody has 9 Pokemon hooked up to a battery for some reason.
Yeah.
9 electric Pokemon to charge a battery.
Oh, yeah. So this actually... Okay, you guys were talking about the dumb shit that got you. When the smoke parted and we saw the whole town with buckets, that got me.
That was your moment.
I got a little goosebumpy.
Yeah.
I have one more big moment coming up that really got me.
Okay, so Sonic decides that people are good. So he starts deciding to, like, trying to put out the fire. Yeah, then they have a bunch of electric Pokemon hooked up to a battery. They use it to turn on the sprinkler system in the abandoned building. That's just a husk of a building with no ceiling, floors, or walls. But the sprinkler system fully intact.
Yeah,
Absolutely flawless.
It puts out all the fire nearby them, which we find out is like a 1/100th of the fire. Then a tower falls from this like ruin and crushes Margot, and she dies in a bloody, like she gets crushed to death in a bloody heap on the ground, and she's dead. And the movie ends.
No.
Okay. So
No.
I guess I have two more
sorry.
things about this movie that got me.
Okay. Wait. So wait. Emily, did you watch a different version? Did she not die in a bloody heap on the floor?
She gets saved.
Zoroara jumps in the air and
comes and saves
grabs
the day.
grabs the tower.
They really said it like, okay, we've gotten through this whole movie. We are clearly minutes from the end, and they put the 5-year-old girl in mortal danger. Like,
Yeah.
do I think
Dude,
they're
I
going to
was
have them solve 3/4 of the problems this movie presented and then
Kill a little
kill a 5-year-old girl?
I honestly, no lie, thought that she was gonna die. I was like, maybe the stakes go this way. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, maybe we really see the value of like life and death and relying on one another and community, and then a 5-year-old dies.
Yeah.
But then,
Emily,
but,
you
but when
sweet,
Zara Ora is like
innocent-
holding up the building, the whole
Sweet summer
town,
child.
yeah, is like screaming, "You got it! You got it! Keep going!" And I'm like, Zara Ora has done enough to help you people. Like,
Right.
I know she's right.
Yeah, I mean, not only that, half of these people have Pokemon that can fly or do telekinesis or have super strength, and nobody's helping. They're just shouting, "Do it! Save the girl! Save her!
it.
You can do it!" So if I was Aurora, I'd be like, "You fucking layabouts!"
Yeah.
But he does. He does it. He saves it. Everybody's fine.
Yeah, girl's not dead.
Um,
Nobody learns a lesson.
At the same time, Risa arrives at the tower with the eternal flame. She puts it back. Lugia shows up. She's like, "Hey, make it rain. There's fire everywhere." And Lugia, who I guess was unable to be aware of this until there was a bright light, apparently lives in the forest and was unable to notice all the fire.
Where were you, dude?
You suck. You're the worst legendary Pokemon I've ever met. He's like, "Yeah, okay." He like nods. Like it's like, yeah. Makes it rain. Puts out the whole forest fire. Guys, hold on. I have a serious like real world question. Does rain put out a forest fire?
Wow. Instinct says
no.
no, because usually, well,
Forest
I
fires
don't
go on
know.
for weeks, right?
If you had like
and it's usually in a
so
dry
they-
climate though. Like I wonder if that
Yeah.
kind of
Oh,
thing
you're right.
changes, then
So if you had like a long sustained torrential rain, I think that would put out a forest fire, but like a normal day's
drizzle like this one.
rainy noon isn't going to
Because it wasn't raining by the end of the movie. Like this was a short drizzle.
Yeah.
correct.
Okay. 607-3237-168. Number 1, yikes, nikes, or yuck on the Smeargle essence on the 5-year-old girl. The other thing you can call about is, does rain put out a forest fire?
Yeah. Whether you know or not, give us your theories, give us your fun stories about it, whatever you got.
Yeah, then the movie's over, right? Like the mayor makes a big speech.
I'm sorry,
Sir?
Matt.
Sir? Sir?
You say the movie's over, but we still have one more character to introduce.
Okay.
Is the narrator.
Oh my god. Okay, yeah, we're gonna get to the narrator. Okay. Sorry.
Fucking
Yes.
narrator.
We will get to the narrator because here you thought motherfucker was out of the game. You thought motherfucker was out the game? He's not out the game. He comes back with a vengeance. But okay. The last scenes of the movie, before we get to this guy.
Boring.
The mayor is making a speech to the town about how, they saved the whole town and how proud of themselves they should be and whatever. And he quotes the great philosopher Ashley Ketchthemal. As a great philosopher once said, if one can't do it alone, they can do it with a Pokemon. Fucking
That is, yeah, again, the moral to the story.
And then he also says that he as if this is an official, he hereby revokes the lie about Zerol.
The town goes nuts. Yay! The lie is over.
It's revoked! Officially revoked! Imagine if actual politicians could revoke lies officially.
Ooh, yikes.
Yikes.
And then they have a lantern festival and it's beautiful. And then Emily, this won't be as significant to you, but okay, how did you feel when a random man started yelling over the end about how many Pokemon there were in the world?
Wait, was that to me or to Pat?
To you. Sorry.
That's okay.
Me and Pat are very familiar with this man.
Yeah, for sure. Less so. I don't know. It was just like, I felt like there were so many twists and turns in this movie that I was never prepared for. It's one of those. I gotta tell you, it's another rope in the jungle. I'm just hanging on. If somebody's gonna tell me something that's gonna help me out, even if it's the end of this movie, I'm gonna go ahead and listen. But I mean, it didn't really make any kind of, sense to me. But maybe you guys can explain it more.
So this man has been the narrator for... We've had a couple narrators, but this is the original narrator, I think.
Yeah, the original and the primary one, too. He's probably been the narrator for 3/4 of these movies.
Yeah, it always reverts back to him even when they hire a new narrator. And he goes ape shit for Pokemon. He's always like, Pokemon are the most magical creatures in the earth, and they find them in the sea, and you find them in your cabinet, and you find them in a wall. And he's like, there are so many Pokemon, even thousands, maybe even 100. And he's like he goes and we think that sometimes he gets fired because he goes off script and he goes too crazy about describing how many Pokemon there are.
Count your teeth. Count your friends' teeth. Count everyone's teeth in the world. That's how many Pokemon there are.
And we thought he's kind of like chilled out for a while, but then he was full-blown narrator at the end of this movie.
He's found a loophole too, because it's clear they fired him in the past for talking about how many Pokemon there are, and he's like, "Oh no, fine. I'm not going to even mention the number of Pokemon there are. The number of insanely magical, mysteriously powerful, unbelievably mythical, incredibly godlike Pokemon there are."
I won't even mention that there are millions of these incredible, amazing, wondrous, spectacular Pokemon that are in your life and in your world and under your couch.
Gotta catch them all.
And then the movie ends. And there's a terrible song at the end, like always.
Yeah.
And then there's a post-credit scene. Did the two of you watch the post-credit scene?
I did. You made me.
I did not. Holy cow.
Okay. So, Emily, in your head, when this movie ended, were you wondering, number one, who was that weird Jamiroquai-looking boy in the Pokemon YouTube videos? And number two, how did the little hospital boy know about his sister's whereabouts while she was running from smoke?
Did they really put that together in a post-credit scene?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God. So the girl Risa gets back home, and she goes into the hospital, and her brother is making the Pokemon video. He is the guy.
He's the Pokemon TV host.
Stop.
He's got a wig and a hat and an outfit on, and he is the guy.
What?
Yeah. And she's like... And he walks in and he quick pulls his wig off and he hides his phone and he's like, "Oh, did you catch the Pokemon I wanted you to catch?" And she's like, "Yeah, wait, I have a question. How did you know where I was?" And he looks at the camera, or he looks at her, I can't remember. And he says, well, funny story. I wanted to get some pictures of the festival. And then it cuts. And you're left as a viewer like, wait, what? Wait, what? What?
Well, So we should clarify that when she's shouting at her, by the way, her bedridden, hospital confined little brother. She's shouting, "How did you know where I was when I was running through the woods?" She has the sunglasses that he gave her as a gift in the very beginning of the movie in her hand, and she's shaking them at him and still asking how he was able to see.
So,
So I think we're supposed to say in our heads, these glasses were actually cameras.
Had a camera. But they never fucking say it. They don't actually say it.
Yeah, also she doesn't wear those sunglasses.
God, as if they had any room in this movie to like make the audience draw conclusions. Like there's no space. Once again, the audacity of them.
Yeah. And then we see Ash and Pikachu, and Ash says, "Where will we end up next?" And the movie ends.
Wow.
Yeah. He's
the end. Okay.
This time that's a legit question. Thank you.
You're welcome, Pat. You're welcome to Only Path.
So first I want to say we're going to skip voicemails this week because we're still waiting. 2 episodes ago, we asked you guys like 9 questions and we said we wanted everybody to call in. That was, we just published that episode like a week ago, I think, today.
Yeah. How many voicemails have we gotten?
2, and only 1 is on that subject. So we're going to wait to play the voicemails until next episode and let those things roll in a little bit. But you can call us at 607-323-7168. So we're going to skip that for this week.
Let's skip rankings too.
We're not skipping rankings.
Eschew tradition.
So we have 2 more segments. One is final thoughts, and then one is one that Emily, you are allowed to hang up on us for, and we will not blame you for it even a little bit. So final thoughts. Emily, how did you feel now that we've gone through it all? How do you feel about this fucking movie?
Okay, I feel like there is like a lot of stuff that I missed and I didn't even realize I missed. There's a lot. I feel like I tried to write down as much as I could, and even then I still missed like small plot points, but they're all small because they all lead up to like their own individual small endings. Right, because there's so many supporting characters. So even still, I feel like, you know, if I'm a kid and this is like the second movie of this like new generation, I think it was a lot of info. And they had this good thing going with, I was really, really feeling the Zara Aura storyline. Like, I really think they could have done that and done the Lugia storyline and just like really like simplified them. And I know like ultimately that's what it was about, but there were too many like little side things going on. They could have macroed out a little bit, but I really enjoyed all the people. Like they were all like joys to watch on screen. Like, so aside from that, like plot wise, like kind of a mess, but like you guys have been saying, like total joys, like absolute joys to watch on screen, all the characters.
Yeah, I'd say even like excluding Ash maybe.
Yeah.
Actually, even Ash was kind of cool in this movie.
Ash was a badass.
Yeah.
But
I think he was fine.
He was definitely the least fleshed out character in the whole.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess maybe I just know him too well at this point.
Yeah, he's like an old friend at this point. Well, so I will say that one of the reasons I think they couldn't have just done the Zorora story is because this is the like maybe 7th or 8th time they have had a character that fits that exact role and that exact plot.
Yeah.
So you know, it's not a bad message and it's not a bad story when you look at it like kind of like holistically, but it's one we're maybe a little tired of.
Feel you. I gotcha.
Pat, how do you feel overall?
You know, for the last few weeks, last few recording sessions, you've been recapping the movies that we have to watch. And every time we got to this one, you were like, this is the one that people say is good. Like, this is the one that people say is really inspired and, like, they really put work into it and it's kind of artsy. That's not true. and I feel like this isn't the first time that's happened, right? There's like a Pokemon movie that we ran into closer to the beginning of this podcast that you had heard. It was like the best rated one that you could find. It had the best reviews of all the Pokemon movies, so we were sure it was going to be the one that broke the spell of awful Pokemon movies, and it wasn't.
It was bad,
and it continues to be that. Other than that, it was fine. Other than being a bad movie, it was a perfectly fine movie.
You know, this movie did stepped up the animation game just like the last movie did, and it took risks. Is why I think it gets the higher ratings from people. Is because it was definitely like a risky movie, but most of the risks didn't pan out. Characters, you're right. The characters were a joy to watch, and there was some of that like Miyazaki style, like the poetry of small moments stuff in here, where they really focus on like the atmosphere of a scene or a small human behavior for just like a second, but there was enough of that very broad fucking anime like dumbass shit that it was like it kind of didn't matter.
It's also like this isn't an art house film. You need a linear plot,
right? There was too much going on in this movie. I think it was more enjoyable than your average Pokemon movie, to be honest, I think. But it was it was a fucking mess. And ultimately, it was the first movie that made me realize that all these movies are about is trying to get kids to want to buy Pokemon because it gives them superpowers or whatever. So it loses some points for that. All right, we do a tarot. Okay, do you have anything you want to plug before I get to this last thing?
Yeah, Kins, get your plugs in.
I don't know if I do. I don't have any like steady gigs right now. Well, I guess you can come see Sad Boys at Good every first Friday at 7:00.
Awesome!
It's just a very fun improv show, and that's
it's a very
for now. Yeah,
a group of very, very, very funny people in that improv group.
Yeah, we have a lot of like very wacky, silly fun, which is good.
Is there any social media profile you want people to find you at, or is that just
you can follow me on Instagram at mkinslow. My real name is spelled with an S, but on Instagram it says Z.
And that's where people you would, if somebody wanted to see you perform live, a sketch show or an improv show, they'd be able to find that out through there, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. So here's a thing you are absolutely allowed to be excused from, and me and Pat wish we could, but it's our hell that we're trapped in, like a fucking we're in Dante's torture chamber for making this decision.
This is the hell within the hell.
Emily, we're about to rank every Pokemon movie we've ever seen, and there's 22 of them.
You guys.
It's 11:45 at night.
I know. I want to go home.
It's 50-50 on guests staying or leaving at this point.
Okay.
So don't feel bad.
I think I'll bow out, but this has been very fun. And if it were any earlier in the night, I would stay, but I am about to fall asleep.
We do not blame you. If it were me, I would do the same thing. Emily, thank you
Thanks,
much for being on the show. It was really, really nice to have you.
Yeah, you guys are the best. Thank you so much. My first pod, it was great.
Thank you.
Nice. You handled it like a pro.
Okay, there goes Emily, and we appreciate her being on the show. Now let's do the worst thing the worst fate that could befall man, and rank all the Pokemon movies. I don't even have a list in front of me, dude. This is awful, and we're at the end here.
Well, we're still gonna have to rank the other ones that we see, right?
Detective Pikachu and the one that has not been released in the US yet.
Yeah, I feel like if we wanted a milestone for rankings, we should have done it 2 movies ago, because that was the end of that particular line.
Yeah, that's not a bad point.
I'm gonna stick with the same. Listen, you'll get a sincere ranking out of me, but right now I'm protesting. I'm going to stick with my same ranking system I've been going with, which is number 1, Pokemon Forever, Celebi's Nasty Nest.
Celebi's Nasty Nest.
Tied for second place, any movie that had a Psyduck appearance. That includes this one.
It includes this one. This one definitely deserves to be in your top half.
So, yeah, I mean, it was good work. Followed by right in the middle of my list, Pikachu, I Choose You, the movie we watched last week.
Mm-hmm.
Followed by, tied for second to last place, all the movies that don't have a Psyduck appearance. Followed by last place, Pokemon the movie 2000.
Okay, let's see how fast I can do this. Okay.
Fast as you can, Matt.
Yeah, number 1, Celebi's Nasty Nest. Number 2, Jirachi. Number 3, Volcanion, right? Volcanion
Yes.
I threw way high up there.
Sure.
Number 4 is like this one. This one was
Number
enjoyable.
4?
It's so insane and weird and like confusing and like bad, but there was no point in it where I was like, I'm bored and I don't want to stop watching this. I was like fully in. Then maybe Darkrai. Then oh god, this is going to be way out of order because I'm trying to do it as fast as I possibly can. This is next one's Spell of the Unknown and Enya. Next one is
Come on, Matt, fast as you can. Come on.
Mirror Mind of the Mirage Pokemon. Mastermind of the Mirage Pokemon. Number 8 is Lucario. Number 9 is I hated Pokemon Black and White, right? Like number 9 is Pokemon the first movie. Number 10 is Pokemon Ranger in the Temple of the Sea. I know that deserves to be lower, but I can't fucking remember any movies right now. Number 11 is Pokemon shit.
Number 11, Pokemon shit. Number 12.
Stalling. I'm losing it. I'm losing the fucking thread. Number 11.
I don't remember. So I know we still have Mewtwo Returns.
Yeah, Mewtwo Returns right there. Number 12.
11. Number 12. What were the other?
What's the hot dog robot? It should be higher. Deoxys. Switch Deoxys.
Destiny Deoxys.
Switch Deoxys with Pokemon Ranger in the Temple of the Sea because switch that.
Just keep every time we have to switch one out. Just keep moving Pokemon Ranger down.
Throw Destiny Deoxys up there. Next one. Then Gear. They were all grouped together.
Yeah.
But what order were they? Giratina.
Giratina's the first one. No, it might be the last one.
No, it's the last one. But that was the best one, right? And then Pokemon Black and White was the first of that trilogy, right?
Was it?
I don't remember. And then
it's the Time and Space one. No, Black and White was the Time and Space one. No, Giratina was the... I'm not helping.
No, you're not. Let's just put Zoroark here. Zoroark is here.
Okay.
Next is the insect one. What's his name? The insect one. The robot insect one. The robot insect one.
The robot insect one?
The robot insect one! The fucking robot who was an insect!
I don't remember
He was from space!
That sounds nuts.
Next is because we're at the very end, right? So
do you know what number you're on right now?
no, the last three.
Give me 3 more. Name me 3 more Pokemon movies that I think we can call it.
Okay. I didn't even say I Choose You yet. I Choose You all the way down here. I don't think I hated it that much, but I Choose You. It deserves to be in the very middle, so move everything down, throw it in the very middle. Then the second to last is Diancie, and the last one is fucking Pokemon the movie 2000.
Yeah, fucking right.
All
right.
Okay, we've got 2 more. Next, I think the next movie we're doing is fucking Detective Pikachu.
Detective is finally this is like
the one respite in your
I was
torture.
Trying to think of like a reference I could make where somebody's in hell, but then they get like a day to look out the window from hell, but then they have to go back to hell. I can't think of a story that happens.
Jeffrey in the Hell Window.
This should be what our fucking fanfic is about.
And then finally, we're not sure. We've been having internal discussions. We are not sure if the next episode is going to be the first movie again, or if the next episode is going to be us watching the Japanese version of the remake of the first movie, the newest one, like whatever it's called, Mewtwo Strikes Back Evolution, I think it's called.
Yeah, the CGI remake of the Pokemon the first movie. but it's only available in Japanese.
Sorry, it won't be that. It'll either be that or a special episode. It'll either be that or a special episode that I don't think have announced yet. And one that we will have a returning guest
For the first time
to hopefully to help us with this special episode. But whatever that is, following that will be us starting over with season 2. Okay. This is bullshit.
Anyway,
call 607-323-7168. Subscribe, like, whatever. Pat, do you have anything to say?
It's what?
What? What? Now,
no, you said Pat, do you have anything to say? And then
Pat,
you started mouthing something.
Pat, do you have anything to say at all?
So now I'm just waiting for you to start mouthing that thing again. Why? What do you? Why?